KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. KSL's top story this hour: a St. George man has been arrested after police say he attempted to frame his wife in a murder-for-hire plot. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
St. George police say they started investigating after Robert Quinton Sprague called them saying his wife was planning to have him murdered. The St. George News reports Sprague told police he had found 2 emails from her account looking for a hitman to kill him and dispose of his body. After digging, police say they found Sprague had sent those emails himself using her cell phone and then threw the phone away in Las Vegas. Sprague has been charged with several third-degree felonies, including forgery and identity fraud. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
A former West Jordan police officer has been sentenced to serve probation after he was found guilty of getting into a road rage confrontation.
35-year-old Zachary Robert Allen was originally placed on administrative leave by the West Jordan Police Department last summer after he was accused of road rage and DUI at the time. Arrest documents obtained by KSL say Allen crashed his truck into a canal off of SR 201 near 8200 West last June after another driver told police he was speeding and cutting people off before he eventually clipped his bumper and lost control. And while arrest documents say the officer who interacted with Allen after the crash smelled alcohol on his breath, Allen apparently refused to do a field sobriety test and was never charged with DUI, though he was charged with and found guilty of reckless driving. Allen has since been ordered to serve 6 months probation, take a defensive driving class, and pay a $600 fine. Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
Your money at this moment: the Dow is down 77 points. We're at 49,932. Coming up, we've got a chance of rain this morning. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:02.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
This is Nate Orchard from Advanced Window Products. When you live in Utah, your windows do a lot more than let the light in. They protect your home from freezing winters, blazing summers, and everything in between. That's why Advanced Window Products builds every window for your local climate. No middleman, no out-of-state delays, just factory direct quality, custom made for your home. Imagine a quieter home, a warmer home, a cooler home. Our high-efficiency vinyl windows are engineered to lower your energy bills and boost your comfort all year round. And installation is done by our own certified in-house crews, never subcontractors. That's why Utah homeowners give us 5-star reviews. Right now, take advantage of our anniversary sale. For a limited time, get $2,500 off when you buy 10 or more windows. Call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. For 40 years, Advanced Window Products has been the name Utah trusts for custom replacement windows and sliding glass doors. Advanced Window Products, built here, installed here, trusted here. Call 801-850-9100 for that $2,500 off, or visit us at advancedwindows.com to schedule your free in-home estimate.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. And let's face it, it's time to update the look of your home's exterior. When was that thing built? In the 50s, 70s, 90s, the 2000s? Well, it's looking like it. Faded siding, drafty windows, leaky gutters. It's time to take action now. RGS Exteriors has been taking Utah homes from drab to fab for over 5 generations. We only use the highest quality materials like James Hardy siding and gutter topper gutter covers. You will be blown away by how much different and better and awesome your house can look. Your neighbors will be jealous, your home value will go up, and most of all, you're going to love it. Everything we do comes with our industry-leading 10-year everything guarantee, so you can sleep like a baby, knowing if anything goes wrong, you're 100% covered. For a free estimate on your gutters, windows, siding, or anything on your outside of your home, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsexteriorsutah.com. That's rgsexteriorsutah.com.
Is your financial advisor managing your risk or just a spreadsheet? Hi, I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. Many financial advisors rely on target date funds, which are one-size-fits-all portfolios that don't know your name, your family, or your goals. And that passive management can leave you dangerously exposed. At Trajan, we look at the whole picture, not just the stocks everyone else buys, but the private market opportunities most advisors ignore. And as fiduciaries, we build a strategy around you, coordinating your investments, tax strategy, and estate into one cohesive plan. Your financial life deserves more than just a generic portfolio. Real planning isn't a stack of statements. It's the confidence of knowing where your income will come from for the next 30 years. Good enough isn't good enough for your family. It's time for a change. Schedule your complimentary consultation today. Call 855-TRAJAN-1. That's 855-TRAJAN-1.
Advisory services through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor. Private equity investments require accreditation. Other services through Trajan Estate and Trajan Tax. Additional disclosures at TrajanWealth.com.
Breaking news here at KSL News Radio. I'm Becky Bruce. Governor Cox has now officially issued a statewide drought emergency declaration due to extreme drought conditions. In the order, he says our snowpack provides 95% of our water supply, but this winter that supply fell far short of what we need. We've got reservoir storage, but it's depleting fast, and we need to treat our water as a precious resource. This does not mean immediate restrictions, at least so far. What it does is direct the state operations plan and the Drought Response Committee to immediately review the hardships caused by the drought and then recommend some actions. You can expect more in the coming days. We're still standing by for a news conference from Governor Cox with more specifics. Live, Becky Bruce, KSL News Radio.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. And here's Cormac Bone.
Heaviest delays are on 2100 North in Lehigh, both directions between Redwood Road and I-15. Some pretty dense traffic. And on I-15, you're still seeing this southbound delay around Pioneer Crossing, and that's due to that crash that is still there and blocking that left shoulder. Do be careful and give them the space as you get through on the freeway there. Northbound I-15, still seeing regular delays at the South Interchange and from 3300 South up to 13 South. And South 15, still slow from Warm Springs Road down to 600 North. A healthy smile means a healthier life. If you don't have a dentist, visit YourSmileUtah.org for more information on community dental services. Your smile matters. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today, we'll get up to 68 degrees. We've got a chance of rain this morning, but it'll clear out this afternoon. 72 tomorrow, and we're in the 80s for the holiday weekend. Right now, we are seeing some rain in the downtown area, and 61 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
The Utah drought continues to worsen, and we still have several months of even hotter, drier weather. And Becky Bruce just came in and broke the news that the governor has declared the entire state to be in drought and a state of emergency.
Yeah, the governor's issued an executive order, and in that order, he indicates that 29 counties in Utah, all 29 counties in Utah, are currently experiencing severe drought. 22 counties, Holly, are experiencing extreme drought, according to the U.S. Drought Monitor.
So there's a live press conference going right now, and we're going to dip into it. Right now, speaking is Tage Flint. He's the executive director of Utah Waterways.
Last drought. This is going to happen again and again and again, as Utah normally experiences either wetter than normal years or much drier than normal years. We rarely have a normal year in the state, and but it also serves as a wake-up call for all of us that there are future droughts on the horizon, and that we need to do much better in terms of how we use our water, especially in our residential settings. We need to get below that 65% of all our residential water being used on our outdoor landscapes. It's just simply too high. And so we're here to encourage our residents to do something different with their landscapes, using this drought as the time when we start what I like to call hardwiring our landscapes, so that we are drought-proofing our landscapes for all future droughts, not just this one. That every year when we irrigate our landscapes, we are irrigating with a much less water volume per year than we used to do. It's not easy, but it's not that hard to start slowly and turning our yards into something that uses much less water. That way, when we come to these drought scenarios, we just simply do not have that drastic drop off in our landscapes that we've experienced in the past. That also goes with our new landscapes. Anytime that we're in new development or putting new yards in, no matter where we are in this state, it's time to put those new landscapes in with a much more water efficient and drought resilient type of a landscape. We know it can be done. We have been much better than in the past. We've been much better now than we have been in the past in our water use. We've already dropped about 20% of our per capita use in this state, and it's time to start dropping another 20% so that we can be much more resilient when these droughts occur. That's my message this morning. I'd like to turn over some time to Laura Briefer from Salt Lake City.
We've been listening to a live press conference by the governor and other people involved in water in the state of Utah. We'll go back.
Director of Salt Lake City Department of Public Utilities. We are proud to provide drinking water to nearly 400,000 people across Salt Lake County, including Salt Lake City and our neighboring communities. We're also responsible for sanitary sewer collection and treatment, as well as stormwater and flood control services. Welcome to this picturesque Parley's Canyon watershed and Little Dell Reservoir. On a morning like this, which is a little different than we've had recently, it's easy to appreciate not only the beauty of the place, but also the importance to our community. A few little facts about Little Dell Reservoir. It was completed in 1993 to strengthen both our drinking water supply, improve flood control, and enhance wildlife habitat. The construction of this reservoir was a collaboration between the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, the Metropolitan Water District of Salt Lake and Sandy, Salt Lake County, and Salt Lake City. This reservoir can hold up to 20,500 acre-feet of water and plays a critical role in Salt Lake City's water supply and flood management systems. Its value was especially evident during runoff in 2023, not too long ago, when record snowpack created flooding risks downstream. Little Dell helped protect thousands of homes and businesses across our community, and this year the reservoir will serve an equally critical role by capturing as much runoff as possible to help meet water demand and amid this record low snowpack and early runoff. I want to thank our residents for their long-standing efforts to conserve water. This allows us to stretch our water supplies even as we grow. These efforts will improve our long-term water security and avoid significant costs associated with developing additional water supplies. And so importantly, this conservation ethic supports Great Salt Lake. I also want to thank our state agencies, many of who are here today, our university collaborators, and our Conservancy District collaborators for their tremendous support of water conservation programs. There are a lot of accomplishments we could be proud of as we've worked to conserve water. For instance, since the year 2000, Salt Lake City's overall water demand has decreased by 25%, while our overall population has grown by nearly 20%. With that, we've been able to grow, prosper, and improve our water resiliency. Our long-term water conservation allows us to return our treated wastewater flows to Great Salt Lake, rather than reusing that water for other municipal purposes. This represents a continuous contribution of about 30 to 35 million gallons of water per day to Great Salt Lake. Our conservation also allows us to participate in a recent donation of 2,500 acre-feet per year to Great Salt Lake in partnership with the Great Salt Lake Water Enhancement Trust, Metropolitan Water District, and Sandy City. That is equivalent to releasing the entire capacity of Mountain Dell Reservoir, just located nearby, to Great Salt Lake each year. These long-term conservation successes are significant and very worthy of recognition. But this year's extremely low snowpack, reduced runoff, and the dire condition of Great Salt Lake make it extremely clear that we must do more. In response, Salt Lake City declared Stage 2 of our drought contingency plan, requiring mandatory reductions for all government facilities within our water service area and voluntary reductions from our residents and businesses. Our goal is to reduce water demand by 10 to 25 million gallons per day during this drought. In the months ahead, we will continue working together to protect this vital resource, strengthen our drought resilience, and support the health of Great Salt Lake. Water has always connected our communities, our economy, and our environment, and the choices that we make today will shape Utah's futures for decades to come. And with that, I will turn it over to Governor Spencer Cox. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much to all of our speakers today. Thank you to the media who is here with us. We appreciate your attention to this very important issue that's facing our state. It's been fascinating to go back and read addresses from governors in the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s. What Tage said is absolutely correct. There really isn't such thing as an average year in Utah. It seems we're either in drought or we're flooding, and I'm grateful for the wisdom of those who came before us, who built reservoirs like Little Dell and others throughout the state to help with both of those things. As you just heard Laura talk about how important this reservoir was in the boom years of 3 years ago and the bust years of years like today. We are coming off a winter that was the warmest on record by nearly 3 degrees. Unfortunately, these above normal temperatures are expected to continue through the summer. Although I will tell you, today is a very cool day, and we've decided amongst ourselves that we figured out how to solve the drought. We're going to have a drought press conference every day, so we get pelted in the face with rain and have cooler temperatures. But while there are signals of above average summertime rain possible for southern and eastern Utah, we expect any relief will likely be minimal compared to the deficit we face. The most sobering data, of course, comes from our snowpack, or the NOPAC as it's been referred to. April 1st snowpack was just 2.7 inches of snow water equivalent, the lowest ever recorded since 1930. To put that into perspective, 14.2 inches would be normal for April 1st. And that great 23 winter that we've referred to, there were 28 inches of 28.4 inches of snow water equivalent. Because of the heat, precipitation that should have fallen as snow fell as rain and never reached the reservoirs. So our snowpack provides approximately 95% of Utah's water supply. It is our checking account, and right now our checking account is running low. We are relying on our savings account in our reservoirs, which is what you're seeing here today. Thanks to aggressive management during the wet years, our statewide reservoir storage currently sits at 70% of capacity. That's good news for Utahns. While that is roughly average for that time of year, it's 15% lower than it was at this time last year, and our savings is being spent a little faster than we like since the checking account is empty. Some of our smaller reservoirs, which only hold a year or two of storage at a time, are already in rough shape. What you see in our reservoirs today is all we have. There's no extra runoff, but rain doesn't fall or doesn't refill these high mountain reservoirs as much as we appreciate the rain. We can't bank on what Mother Nature might deliver next winter, and so we have to be even more cautious just in case this is more than a one-year event. Precipitation isn't promised, and conservation is a choice that we can all make and must make at this time. Conditions vary again throughout the state, and many of our neighborhoods are already making hard choices. You already heard about the town of Emory. I can tell you that the town of Fairview isn't far behind the town of Emory right now. We've already had major cutbacks where we live. Midvale City has implemented a 25% drought surcharge. The Weber Basin Water Conservancy District has mandated a 20% reduction, delayed secondary water, and will likely end the irrigation season about a month early. On the Hobble Creek system, water rights were cut to 1853 priority levels on May 1st, a full 40 days earlier than last year. And even the Bear River drainage system, which had a better snowpack than any other part of the state, saw runoff levels in April that were only half of what we recorded during the 2021 drought, which was one of Utah's worst. The list goes on and on. Now, we have enough water in storage to get through this year. That's, again, the good news. If we treat every gallon as a finite resource, we need aggressive conservation across all sectors. To our residents, I want to thank you who waded to water and those who are following the state's weekly lawn watering guide. About 2/3 of our residential water is used outside, so please, please, please be vigilant and don't overwater. Check your sprinklers so they're watering plants and not pavement. And as you heard Tage say, this is one area where we can make big improvement, and we just must. We should all, wherever you live, I want us to take a lesson from our friends in Washington County. St. George has done a great job of this, of cutting back on the amount of watered lawns in the state. We need to be doing that all across the state, and we have many programs to help us with that. To the thousands of Utahns who have taken advantage of those programs and swapped grass for WaterWise landscaping, thank you. We aren't saying that all grass is bad. We want grass in the right places, but that it doesn't belong everywhere. There are beautiful WaterWise plants and trees better suited to Utah's climate and conditions. We like to say if the only time you walk on your grass is to mow it, it's probably not that necessary. We want places for kids and families to play, but it doesn't need to be everywhere. To our municipal leaders, I especially want to thank you, the cities who are leading by example, cutting indoor water use at government facilities and sticking to irrigation budgets. To the Metropolitan Water District of Salt Lake and Sandy, your move to send 2,500 acre-feet for the next 10 years to the Great Salt Lake is historic. It proves that when residents and businesses conserve, water can reach the lake. Thank you for your efforts. I also want to thank the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints for implementing WaterWise landscaping techniques and installing smart controllers across church properties in Utah, which are estimated to save 400 million gallons of water in the Great Salt Lake Basin. They've also donated and leased substantial amounts of water to the Great Salt Lake and encourage members to be good stewards and natural resources to conserve water. They are truly showing what institutional stewardship looks like. I want to thank our farmers and ranchers who are leading the way by optimizing water use, and in drought years they are almost always among the first to cut back or have their water supply reduced while continuing to invest in long-term solutions to protect Utah's water future. As part of a statewide effort, as you heard, to strengthen water resiliency, $276 million has been allocated to the Agriculture Water Optimization Program. Again, thanks to the legislature for their help there, and producers are stepping up, matching state investments with their own dollars. To date, farmers have invested over $50 million of their own funds to implement these improvements at their own expense to protect our water resources and our food supply. With 100% of the state in drought and weather uncertainty ahead today, I have signed an executive order declaring a statewide drought emergency. This declaration is about more than just paperwork. It facilitates the use of emergency resources, raises awareness to ensure a unified, coordinated response. This is a record-breaking challenge, but Utahns are record-breaking. We can't control the weather, but we can control the tap, so let's make 2026 the year we prove once again Utah's resilience is deeper than any drought. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor. And I'm Joel Fair. I'm the Executive Director of, Commissioner now, the Department of Natural Resources. And apologize for being a little bit late. Got held up in the Water Development Commission meeting up at the legislature, and sometimes those can be a little bit long-winded. But want to thank our legislature for their partnership, for their interest in this important issue, and for the resources and dedication to helping Utah address these major concerns. Governor, as a farmer myself, I want to thank you for this drought declaration. This is important. This year feels different than other years. This winter we had wasn't really winter. And being on the ground and seeing that as we start to irrigate crops and we start to use this water in the best way possible, it is different. It feels different. And so this is needed. This is necessary, and certainly will help focus everyone's attention and efforts in the state of Utah on conserving and being smart, utilizing our water in a smart way to get us through this year. So as you can see, this message is clear. We all need, all of us, all Utahns across all sectors need to use our water resources wisely. I want to thank our media partners today for being here, for spreading this awareness. This is something every Utahn can participate in across all sectors, and we can all do more to help conserve water. So we have experts with us here today. We have our representatives, our water districts, our cities, water user groups. We have government experts here to answer any questions, so we would open it up. I don't know, Kim, are we going to do one-on-ones, or do you want to do a microphone, or Rob, do you want to do microphone questions? What would you like to do? Would you want the governor to... Yeah, could we do a few questions? Okay, Governor, I'm going to turn it back to you. Oh, and I also want to thank Commissioner Pearson, Kelly Pearson, for filling in for me at the start. Did a great job. Look, Kelly, I'm going to have you do it every time, okay? Anyway, Governor, I'm going to turn it back to you. Thank you. Okay.
Questions?
We're following up with a press conference this morning. The governor has declared a state of emergency with respect to Utah's water condition, and he is about to answer some questions from the media.
Yeah, well, I think what we want to see happen is exactly what we just talked about. We do this. We've done this before. Again, this isn't new to Utahns. We were in serious drought for multiple years in the early 2000s, or excuse me, in the early 2020s, and people responded in a big way. We saw more conservation than at any time in the history of our state. We used less water that year than at any time in the history of our state. And the best part of that is it carried forward. You heard that from our friends in Salt Lake. How much better everyone has been doing at this, and when Utahns find out, they respond. So I'll just remind people again, because we always get asked about this. The enforcement mechanisms and the decision mechanisms are always at the local level, because every system is different, every system is unique. This is a very, very big state, and a water system in Weber County is very different than one in Sanpete County, is very different than one in Washington County. And so they have to make those decisions on enforcement and restrictions at the appropriate time, and they do, and they will. And so what we're asking is, again, even before restrictions come into place, that we can do this. And again, Utahns have proven that over and over again. And so that's what we'll do. We'll continue. I think you will see, and you've already seen this, that there will be enhanced enforcement because the situation is so dire, and that will take place at the local level. Now, there are funding opportunities, and this is where the state is helpful. I want to thank the legislature. You heard about the secondary water metering piece. It's very expensive. I will just let everybody know, my meter got replaced last year at my house in Fairview, and so we now have secondary water metering at my house. I'll also tell you our farm has been cut back to about half of normal production for this year already. So this is really going to impact farmers across the state. But those are decisions that have to be made at every level, at the local level.
Governor, what do you say to people who have said, I won't conserve because agriculture needs to make cuts, or I won't conserve because this data center is going to take water,
Sure.
I won't do this because of that?
Yeah. So what I will say is, again, farmers are conserving. I don't know where this comes from, but farmers conserve more than anybody in this state. That's where the biggest cutbacks will always be, always have been. And so I get pretty fired up about that one, because it's a lie and it's wrong. And anybody who says that either doesn't know what they're talking about, or they do know what they're talking about, and they're intentionally trying to lie about it. And as far as the data center, again, what I will say is this data center is going to use less water than the current water use. So this will actually return water to the lake. And so that, again, there are issues that people should be concerned about, for sure. Water is not one of them in that particular case.
We've been following up and listening to a press conference that began this morning. Utah Governor Spencer Cox has declared a state of emergency in Utah due to the severe drought conditions. He finds that all 29 counties are in severe drought, 22 counties are in extreme drought, and he is imposing some restrictions and asking others to consider the same, including our state and municipal leaders. There are going to be some things that'll take effect pretty soon with respect to homeowners watering their lawns, other businesses, and that type of thing.
He also talked about the enforcement mechanism, and I know that a lot of people have questions about that. And he said that really is at the local level. So, for example, you may have, and we are seeing this, right? There are certain areas of the state that are already saying we're going to impose a surcharge if you're using, too much water. There are places that are doing the carrot. And saying we encourage you to use less water, and some that are already going to the stick saying we're going to charge you.
Yeah, I mean, this was only a matter of time. I think we all knew that something was going to happen. The water situation in the winter, the snowpack that we had this year was the worst ever, and warm. It's interesting, the last question you took, Holly, related to the data centers. We're
Yep.
going to talk about that after the break because there is some new data that came out this morning about how Utahns feel about the proposed center in Box Elder County, and the percentage of people strongly opposed to the development is pretty staggering. Governor Cox just mentioned that that the data center isn't going to take as much water as what's currently being used, but I don't know what's currently being used, maybe for ranching or something like that. Anyway, when we come back after the break, we're going to break down those numbers.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour, a potential hurdle for President Trump's $1.8 billion taxpayer fund to compensate claimants who say they were treated unjustly by the Biden administration. 2 former Capitol Police officers who were injured on January 6th are suing to stop it. ABC's chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce spoke with them.
2 police officers who defended the Capitol against a violent mob on January 6th now suing to stop the Justice Department from giving payouts to the rioters who attacked them. One of the officers suing, Daniel Hodges.
And that is his way of keeping these people on retainer for the next time he wants to influence the courts of history with mass violence.
Hodges is among the roughly 140 officers injured that day.
Harry Dunn is also suing to stop the creation of the fund. Other national stories we're following. The latest government statistics offer a seemingly contradictory snapshot of the housing sector. ABC's Jim Ryan has the latest from the Census Bureau.
Last month, construction was begun on 1.5 million new homes compared with 1.7 million the month before. That's single-family houses, apartments, and condos. But next month might see an increase in housing starts. Construction permits issued for new homes surged nearly 6% from March to April.
Your money at this moment. The Dow is down 114 points at this hour, 49,875. The S&P is down 29. The NASDAQ is off 150. Coming up, nearly 90 will be the theme of the week. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 9:32.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
ZipRecruiter. From the people who brought you It's the Dog Park comes.
It's a hot spot on your dog's leg that the internet says you can treat it at home. You're not sure though, 'cause now it's oozing.
Protect your dog from injury and illness with Progressive Pet Insurance.
Ooh, he's licking it. Super gross, dude.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Coverage subject to policy terms.
The Management Minute is a service of the MBA program and the Shingo Institute and the John M. Huntsman School of Business at Utah State University. I'm Professor Scott Hammond. I know it's surprising, but I had a dispute with my healthcare provider about a bill. In the resolution, the kind person in the clinic who was trying to help me kept saying, they won't let me. They don't know. They're trying to. It was they. It was like this person was stepping out of their organization, then talking to me. The Shingo Institute and the MBA program at Utah State University teach you that if you're saying they instead of we, then your organization has an alignment problem. The people who are facing the customer are not fully connected with the organizational systems. Time to get everyone on the same page. Learn more about organizational alignment with an MBA from Utah State University or a certificate from the Shingo Institute. Go to utahstatemba.com. That's utahstatemba.com. I'm Scott Hammond. Hope to see you in one of our classes.
Is it time for a gut check? If the recent volatility in the markets had you logging into your accounts, spending hours researching the economy, and tossing and turning all night, then maybe it's time for a change. What's your gut tell you? Does it want you to bury your head in the sand, or to get serious about creating a plan that can help preserve what you've saved? Capital Wealth is here to help you navigate the overwhelming world of retirement accounts. Call the Capital Wealth team today so you don't miss an opportunity to get your questions answered. 801-210-5500. That's 801-210-5500. No one knows when the next market drop will happen, so call Capital Wealth now to get started preserving your hard-earned money. 801-210-5500. Advisory services offered through Capital Wealth Advisors, LLC, a state of Utah registered investment advisor.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. Receive 4% cash back on cruises at uccu.com. And here's Cormac Bone.
The only slow spot we have on I-15 is southbound approaching Park Lane in Farmington. Just a little slow there with the construction zone. And otherwise, though, I-15 still looking good through Utah and Salt Lake counties. We do still see a little bit of northbound delays on Bangerter Highway approaching Parkway Boulevard and the 201 freeway, and that's due to a crash near 3100 South. They are blocking a right lane and shoulder, and so just causing a little bit of additional slowdowns for this time in the morning. Otherwise, it's regular delays to expect 2100 North in Lehigh, eastbound from 3600 West to I-15. Coming Memorial Weekend, May 22nd through the 25th, the Soldier Hollow Classic Sheepdog Championship and Festival, presented by Purina Pro Plan. Discounted tickets at soldierhollowclassic.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
The highs today will get to about 68, but will be cloudy with a chance of rain this morning, clearing out this afternoon, 72 tomorrow. We hit 80 on Saturday, and we'll get up there close to 90 by Monday. Right now, it's 61 degrees downtown. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
So, Greg, who do you think is more against the data center in Box Elder County? Rural, suburban, or urban voters?
Well, I would have expected that the urban voters would be more against it because they're more sort of liberal thinking and sort of environmental.
I thought that would be the case too, but it's not. It's not even close. We have new polling just out this morning from the Deseret News and Hinckley Institute of Politics. So we're going to talk with Brigham Tomko about some of those numbers, but it is a higher percentage of suburban and rural voters who are opposed to the plan.
Yeah, it was an interesting study, and the numbers. I thought one number that was really interesting was the number of people who don't have an opinion. That number is quite small. It seems like pretty much Utahns are very opinionated about this.
They are. So, Brigham, you're in studio with us. We've got Brigham Tomko, Deseret News politics reporter, and just this new poll just out this morning. My biggest surprise was really the rural-urban split. Really, I was surprised because your poll shows that Republican voters are more in support, even though overall there's more than half of the state that opposes this. But what I was surprised to see is usually you see Republican voters in rural areas. They're not a big fan of this.
I think what you might be seeing in this poll is that although lots of the media coverage, lots of the loudest voices opposing this may be from the Salt Lake area, maybe young people, college students, those who feel like this could impact them directly, maybe have a data center in their backyard, are those living in the regular neighborhoods and even rural areas around the state, including Box Elder County, of course. And so I think one of the biggest takeaways from this poll is how opposition or skepticism toward this data center has become bipartisan.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, and you had in this story that you wrote that I saw just this morning, and thanks for the heads up. I still appreciate that 61% of suburban, 53% of rural voters oppose the plans, but more urban voters actually support it. 52% support versus 42% against. But I also want to say, while we were just listening to this drought press conference. Now that we have an emergency declaration of drought throughout the state, most of the texters that we've had were basically like, okay, well, that means that we're not getting a data center, right? And the governor said, well, look, the data center is not going to take more water than agriculture's already using in that area. I'm a little skeptical of that.
He took it a step further than that even. He said it's going to put water back into the system because they're actually going to use less water.
I haven't seen any data that says that we have created systems that will use less water than agriculture. I mean, historically, at least what we've seen so far is data centers are really big users of water. So I don't know if you polled specifically on water, but can you talk to us about environmental concerns for sure?
Sure. Excuse me. So to start with our poll, we asked Utah voters, when it comes to data center projects in Utah, which comes closer to your view? And they were asked whether the proposed economic benefits outweigh potential environmental impacts or vice versa. And almost 7 in 10 Utah voters said that they thought the environmental impacts, even if they are only hypothetical at this point, outweigh the economic impacts. Although it is fair to say that those economic impacts would probably be nearly applied to Box Elder County in terms of the tax revenue and the new jobs. And so maybe if we were to poll just Box Elder County, we'd get a different result. I will say that in conversations with House Speaker Mike Schultz and some of the state regulators that have looked into this project and will be responsible for giving the permitting approvals, they have promised that the amount of water used by the AI data center and the natural gas combustion power plant, which will be producing all of the energy, will be less than the current agricultural use. And so that is a big claim, but they're saying that the current pivot point irrigation systems that water the grass for grazing have such a high depletion rate of just evaporation that these systems, which in the case of the data center at least is a closed loop system, I'm not sure about the cooling system for the power plant, but they're saying that it will use less water than is currently used today.
I don't know that I agree with that, because here's my thought, and just because I mean it would certainly use less water than a typical irrigation system if they were growing alfalfa. But I've seen a picture of those 40,000 acres, and nobody's growing anything out there.
Yeah. Well, it's not alfalfa.
It's largely just grazing land for cattle, and I don't know that there's any water irrigation system. I mean, I haven't seen the whole 40,000 acres, but it's hard for me to imagine that this data center will use less water than what's currently being used there, because I don't see that any water is being allocated to that area.
Well, we know there are, because when they had the first submission for water rights, they were asking for 1,900 acre feet of water that was agricultural water, and now they withdrew that. They've asked for another one that's only 11, but that's one of the concerns, right? Is okay, well, you're just going to do piecemeal to still get the water, but you're just going to do a tiny bit at a time. But that is water that's being used for agriculture right now.
It's okay, but I'm wondering if it's just water that's set aside for that. I don't know.
I think it's currently being used.
Okay.
I mean, at least that's the claim. So Brigham, back to this data center. Can you talk to us about the partisan split? Because I was a little bit surprised, to be honest. Not that surprised, but a little bit surprised that so many Republicans actually support it.
Yeah, and so maybe you weren't surprised by the fact that nearly 85% of Democrats said that they opposed the project. 62% of independents, who made up a similar sample size in our poll, also opposed it, and then 36% of Republicans opposed it. So a little over 1/3 of Republicans said they opposed it, and the largest share of GOP voters, so the most common response from self-identified Republicans was 45% who said they did support the project. And so I don't know if this is coming at a time when the Trump administration is acting aggressively to advance and accelerate these kinds of AI projects, including the Utah project, where the Undersecretary of the U.S. Navy actually came to Utah and asked MIDA to help fast-track these kinds of projects. But something interesting about the GOP voters is that 1 in 5 said that they didn't know how they felt about it. And that was the largest share of don't know responses for a political affiliation. So the Democrats and the independents had a better idea of where they stood on this. There's still a big chunk of Republicans who are undecided as I think more of this information comes out.
One of the things that was interesting also to me is the number who were strongly opposed, and that was 41% in your poll. Nationally, they just did a national poll, and it was something like 48 or 49% strongly opposed. That's unusual. That stands out to me a lot, because most people will be like, well, I kind of oppose, right? But they are strongly opposed. And of the people who strongly support, it's a much smaller percentage. Do you have feelings about why we have such strong response to this?
Well, the first thing I'd say is this is not an isolated thing. This is a nationwide turn against AI data centers that might be tapping into some underlying anxiety about the AI revolution that's coming to the electricity grid, to the workforce, to every aspect of our life. But also, I think there's a very real concern that these kinds of projects don't have a clear benefit for the communities. Maybe that benefit just is not understood very well, or maybe there isn't one that they think outweighs the really unfathomable kind of energy demand that this new kind of infrastructure is placing on our grid. I think it's hard for people to wrap their mind around the fact that projections show that by the end of the decade, 1/4 of the energy consumption in the U.S. might just be AI data centers.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's really wild. And I know we've talked about this multiple times here, but this data center fully built out would use more than twice what the state is currently using. That's, to me, I mean, those numbers, they are mind-boggling. They really are. So thanks for joining us, Brigham, with that brand new poll from Deseret News and the Hinckley Institute of Politics. Super interesting. Coming up on Inside Sources, helping hundreds of millions of women and children through nutrition, we're going to get details on a massive new donation towards ending child hunger from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Stay with us.
Some time ago, I decided I needed to do something about my ever-expanding waistline, and I started to look around at some things that were available. Do I want to take shots? Do I want to take pills? I thought, no, I want to try something based solely on diet, just because I wasn't ready to go down that road yet. And I didn't have a lot to lose. It was just under 30 pounds. I hooked up with SOTA, Diet Nutrition, SOTA, at the suggestion of some folks here at KSL. I've been working with them for just over 6 weeks. I told them how much I needed to lose. They told me, well, you could probably plan on about 2 or 3 pounds a week. I actually lost 26 pounds in 6 weeks. Seriously, 26 pounds. I'm almost at my goal now, and I've only been in the program for 6 weeks. So I'm looking to figure out how I'm going to stay at this level, because I'm really happy with how I look, I'm happy with how I feel, and I'm happy to be wearing pants that I haven't been able to wear since I turned 60. As SOTA Diet Nutrition has been good for me. It's just based on nutrition. I have a coach. I have someone that works with me every week in terms of what I'm eating and how I should eat. I haven't been starving myself. I haven't been missing meals or anything like that. It's just a change in what I eat and how I eat. SOTADietNutrition.com. Join us for a short time to have results that last a lifetime.
Primary Children's Hospital has given so much to Utah kids and needs your help to keep the healing going strong. Listen to KSL News Radio on Thursday, June 4th to hear inspiring stories from children and their families as they receive world-class care at this incredible hospital. Donate now by visiting kslkids.com or text the word SMILE to 57500. Be a smile maker. An automatic gift each month helps save the lives of children all year long. Brought to you by J&J Garden Center and the Utah Hyundai dealers. On behalf of all of us at KSL News Radio, we thank you.
I'm Christian Staples with Arctic Spas. Wellness starts at home. At Arctic Spas, we have what you need for home wellness. Hot tubs provide physical and mental relaxation, improve circulation, and stimulate better sleep, all while giving the perfect time to connect with loved ones. Swim spas and all-weather pools provide at-home, low-impact exercise, a break from gravity, and family fun. Cold tubs provide muscle recovery, reduce soreness, and provide the best mental boost. Saunas help you recover, detox, and improve your cardiovascular health. This can all be done at your home, ready whenever you are, and you can find it all at Arctic Spas. We are here to help you relax, exercise, and recover. We make it easy for you. You can find out more at ArcticSpasUtah.com or stop by one of our 3 stores covering all of Utah in Salt Lake, American Fork, and St. George. Arctic Spa, the only spa built for Utah's harsh climate.
We're living through a monetary crime scene, and your IRA or 401k is a key victim. Hi, Dr. Ron Paul here. In 1971, gold was $35 an ounce. After the dollar was cut loose from it, inflation soared. And in just 9 years, gold hit $850. People who diversified into precious metals survived and thrived. Today, we're in a worse position because we face inflation and massive debt. Fortunately, gold is still an option. My trusted friends at Birch Gold Group can help you own gold inside your retirement account without penalties or taxes. Start now by getting a free info kit on gold. Text the word SECURE to 989898. We're facing the same monetary chaos as the 70s with significantly more debt. Get your free info kit from Birch Gold. Just text SECURE to the number 989898.
America First Credit Union has everything you need to get your money working. And for a limited time, new members get a $150 cash bonus for opening a checking account and $200 more for enrolling in and using direct deposit. If you're ready to do more with your money and get up to $350 cash, head to americafirst.com and become a member today. Subject to membership eligibility, terms, creditworthiness, change, and conditions. Additional requirements may apply. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal Opportunity Lender.
This Friday from 10 to 1, the movie show comes to Sound Sleep. But first, take time to learn about a better night's rest. Sound Sleep delivers oral appliance therapy that treats sleep apnea without the use of CPAP machines. They're professionally fit, warranted, and covered by most major medical insurance. End the days of a poor night's sleep. With offices from Clearfield to St. George, Sound Sleep will help. Call Sound Sleep at 801-716-8672 today.
Everything to my back is dark.
High in the alpine wilderness,
The ridgeline is imposing, the escarpments, the drops.
a place where survival
It's dark now. I have nothing.
is never certain. In 2011, an Australian hiker vanished.
Did he really make a wrong turn, or did he decide that he was done?
You have done this walk too, but this is your backyard.
The mountains have decided to keep him.
Find and follow the podcast series Uinta Triangle wherever you get your podcasts.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
We are learning today about a massive donation from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and it's to help end child and mother hunger around the world.
And there's a $25 million donation, which is going to be matched 1-for-1. And with that, the church expects to help up to 320 million women and children every year in countries like Kenya, Nigeria, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Sierra Leone, and the Philippines. Very, very exciting story, I think.
Yeah, very exciting. And to help us break it down, we have Amy Kobe, reporter for the Church News. Amy, it's good to see you again.
It's
by the
so
way.
good to be in studio with you again. I love it. Thanks for having me.
So tell us what we need to know about this. This kind of came out of the blue for me.
Yes. So just to be clear, it's 320 million children and women each year up until, so the goal is all of that number until 2030. So
that's awesome. Wow.
It's a great ambitious goal that the Child Nutrition Fund through UNICEF has, and the church specifically, this money, this 25 million, it'll be matched. There's a matching grant that's available through another private donation to this fund. So the impact is doubled to 50 million. Wow. So a great time for the church to give this donation. And specifically, this will go to mothers and young children in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Kenya, Nigeria, the Philippines, and Sierra Leone. And I loved this quote from Relief Society General President Camille N. Johnson, where it just puts it perfectly, that by addressing critical dietary shortages, she said, we are empowering mothers to help their children reach their potential. And really what this fund does is it helps mothers with their nutrition, and it helps when there are issues, when there are things that come up. And those happen in these countries that we're so separated from, where you have things like wasting. They're stepping in immediately and being very aggressive in treating that, so that there are no longer any of those kinds of issues impacting these children long term, so they do have a future.
So, Amy, look, I big fan of international humanitarian work, and also a big fan of not reinventing the wheel. So one of the things that I appreciate about this is they're working with partners that are already in place, right, to help with distribution and those types of things.
Yes,
right?
The church is great at what it does right now. That is working more as maybe an orchestra conductor with a lot of different charities around the world who are really good on the ground. And so just like UNICEF is really good already with training nurses, with having education partners in place in these countries where they can go in and they're trusted to do that. The church doesn't need to go in and build a relationship there and compete really with UNICEF. They need to support the efforts that are already underway and help those people be successful at what they do really well. And so that's what the church is doing with this in treating child's nutrition needs and helping young mothers, and also with helping migrants around the world, helping with all sorts of issues with now I'm running a blank because there's so many, but this is, nutrition, education, clean water, all of those kinds of things are happening around the world with people who are really good at solving those issues. And the church is looking at those constantly and saying, okay, how can we support them and make it so we're not competing with them in these areas, and just give them what they need.
So what you're describing is almost a collaboration or partnership between the church and UNICEF, and because UNICEF is already there and already has some programs in place, this is a big shot in the arm to what UNICEF's already doing.
Yes.
$50 million shot in the arm.
$50 million shot in the arm to help make it just that much better. Because you know, we know from previous examples that this kind of work can be exhausting for those on the ground, for the nurses, and it can be hard to develop those kinds of relationships where people trust you, where they bring their children to you for a screening.
Yeah.
And UNICEF has built up that kind of trust with parents. It's really interesting. I overheard a conversation recently with one of these executives where they're talking about the care that mothers have when they bring their child nutrition or their vaccination card with them to some of these screenings in these countries, that they are so careful with that. You know, parenting it's not any different in Sierra Leone than it is here in Salt Lake City. Those parents want the best for their children, but they just don't have access to the best nutrition or the best doctors that know everything that we have access to here. And so this is, yes, exactly, the church partnering with someone who can go in and already has that, good doctors and knows that, hey, these mothers care for their babies.
This also isn't the first time that the church has been working with UNICEF. When did their relationship start?
So it's been over a decade. 2013 is when that really kind of solidified with a partnership. Similar stories in recent history. The church donated about, I think it was $5 million in 2022, another $10 million in 2023 to similar projects. A big thing is vaccinations and immunizations throughout the world. The church has supported that heavily through UNICEF to make that possible. Again, where UNICEF is already doing that, and then they get that quite literal shot in the arm from the church to make it even easier.
Amy, did the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and UNICEF decide that these were particular countries, these 5 that you mentioned, and maybe that's not limited to those, that those were countries that really needed this help now?
Yes, that is where the need is the most critical. And so, there are needs around the world, and there are needs for child nutrition help in the United States as well. But the most critical need right now is in those countries. And that does change throughout time. That has changed. And I would expect that they're continuing to monitor and they'll adjust as they need.
So you mentioned something that I think our listeners might be interested in finding out more. You said wasting. Can you go in a little more depth on what wasting is?
So wasting is when that critical mass is lost. So you have maybe a 3 or 4 year old that is looking like almost a newborn. They are just so malnourished that they start losing bone density, muscle mass. They look really sick. And what these organizations are doing is they're taking in, it's called Plumpy Nut. It's a nutritional peanut butter, basically, that has all sorts of fortified ingredients, and they give that to a child, and within months, they look like a normal 3 or 4 year old running around, very healthy, and their trajectory for life has gone from a few years to decades now. It has been very successful. It costs about $50 for a box of that for a full treatment. The church has been very supportive of that for UNICEF and other organizations that are working on getting those where they're needed.
Yeah.
And this contribution that we're talking about is nutrition related.
It's nutrition related at the very beginning. So neonatal care. It's getting things that we take. If you're pregnant in the United States, you're familiar with folic acid, right? Some of those things are not available or not. There's not education. They're not known the benefits of that. So starting from that early stage with mother's early pregnancy, all the way through making sure a child has what it needs throughout its childhood.
So again, just to recap, it's $25 million from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which is also being matched. So $50 million to impact 320 million women and kids each year, which was a piece I didn't realize.
Yes.
Each year from now until 2030. So basically the next 4 years.
Yes. So a big ambitious goal that they are partnering with UNICEF on, and it's going to have a real impact for a lot of individuals, and that 320 million is a lot, but each one of those is worth it.
All right, thank you so much,
That's
Amy
very
Kobik
good news,
from the Church News. Yeah. So we're gonna pivot to homelessness right here in Utah, and we're going to talk about whether we're actually making progress or just our numbers giving us a false sense of improvement. Stay with us when we come back.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story, Utah Governor Spencer Cox this hour issued an executive order declaring a statewide state of emergency due to extreme drought conditions. The declaration comes as snowpack peaked about 3 weeks early and was the lowest recorded since 1930. A Utah County wrong-way driver is accused of appearing to target other vehicles on I-15 before troopers stopped him near Lehigh. Utah Highway Patrol says drivers had to take evasive action as the man traveled nearly 10 miles the wrong way early Wednesday morning. The 26-year-old Midway man was booked for investigation of DUI and reckless endangerment. No injuries were reported. Other top national stories, high interest rates continue to impact the housing market, which saw 1.5 million new homes started last month.
That's down nearly 3% from the month before, but well above analysts' expectations and higher than the figure from April of last year. Meanwhile, permits for future home building rose almost 6% in April, suggesting an uptick in construction into the summer.
ABC's Jim Ryan reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow is down 66 points right now. We're at 49,943. We've got some rain this morning, but clearing up this afternoon. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:01. A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-979-3535. That's 800-979-3535. 800-979-3535.
Get your yard ready with Rich Lawn. Spring is here, and it's time to bring your lawn back to life. Start with Rich Lawn Turf Food, an organic-based fertilizer that feeds your soil and keeps your grass greener, longer. Looking for professional-grade results? Organic 100 delivers the nutrients your lawn needs to thrive. And for the finishing touches, Rich Lawn has you covered with Iron Rich for yellowing lawns, Easy Green Grass Seed, and Grow Rich Garden Fertilizer. Put in the work, trust Rich Lawn, and enjoy a yard you'll be proud of. Available at Home Depot and independent garden centers.
The Children's Center Utah provides a unique service in our communities by meeting the needs of very young children and their caregivers. Here's a Little Minds, Big Hope message from Dr. Kyle Smith, the Children's Center Utah's child and adolescent psychiatrist during May's Mental Health Awareness Month.
Did you know that mental health challenges can begin as early as infancy?
Even young children can experience anxiety, trauma, and emotional distress. Find out more at childrencenterutah.org.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to Markdowns for Miles at AutoZone.
Got any markdowns on brakes?
We mark Duralast brake pads down to free.
Free Duralast brake pads?
When you buy 2 rotors.
Can I get Duralast Gold pads for free?
With 2 Duralast Gold rotors, and there's a lifetime warranty on brake pads.
That's a huge markdown for so many miles.
Save on brakes and more during Markdowns for Miles at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Earn an accredited MBA in as few as 16 months for about $21K at University of Maryland Global Campus. Explore 10 specializations including finance, HR, cyber technology, and more. Plus showcase the value of your MBA with a comprehensive learner record and digitally demonstrate in-demand skills and credentials to employers. No application fee if you apply by June 1st. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by SHAP.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Improve cash flow with a home equity line of credit. And back over to you, Cormac Bone.
No delays on I-15 between Ogden and Provo, but we do have a crash, and this is in Layton on city streets. Northbound Main Street is reported by UDOT as closed at Gentile Street, so as you get off the freeway at Layton Parkway, you may see those delays reaching back toward while the crews work to open up that intersection. We also do see normal slowdowns on the 201 freeway in Magna, both directions light and scattered between 8400 West and 7200 West. The local service you can trust with the financial solutions you need. Cyprus Credit Union is there every step of the way. Learn more at cypruscu.com today. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
68 for a high. Today we'll have rain this morning, but clearing out this afternoon. 72 tomorrow. Then we're in the 80s for the holiday weekend. Right now we do have rain and 61 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, the most recent point-in-time count of Utah's homeless community shows that homelessness is actually down. But are those numbers really showing the full picture of homelessness in the state?
Today, leaders on homeless policy from around the country are going to be here in Utah to talk about homelessness, public safety, drug use, and so much more. Here, how is the state of homelessness right now, and what is being done to provide real solutions?
Well, we have with us on the line this morning Dave DeRocher, who is a board member with Solutions Utah. And Dave, thanks for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thank you. It's good to be on your show. Thank you for having me.
So I wonder, Dave, if you could just start by giving us your perspective about the status of homelessness in Utah right now.
Sure. Having been a drug addict for about 27 years and having spent the vast majority of my life going in and out of jails and prisons, I was homeless for quite a while as well. I wouldn't say I was chronically homeless. I would say I was situationally homeless due to the choices that I was making in my life. And when you really take a look today at the problem as it relates to homelessness, criminal behavior, and drug addiction, we have to ask ourselves, is the problem getting better or is the problem getting worse? And I think unanimously people will raise their hands and say the problem's getting worse. And if that's the case, we have to start taking a look at why that is. What are we doing wrong? What are we not doing that we should be doing? How are we not disrupting the current sector? And if you really want to start solving homelessness, we've got to stop paying the organizations that are profiting from homelessness. Because I really believe that there's a lot of organizations that are getting funding that aren't really doing any good at all. Matter of fact, might be causing part of the problem to exacerbate.
Dave, just maybe share a little bit of your own experience. What brought you into the homelessness community? I mean, how did you become involved with that?
Well, after 27 years of hardcore drug addiction and 4 consecutive prison terms back to back, I found myself needing some help. And I finally raised my hand and got the opportunity to go to a 2-year program in California, at which time I stayed there for 8.5 years. And, the beauty of that model was I didn't have to leave the day the funding ran out because that particular program didn't take government money, which means they could do what was right for the resident, right? And allowed me to stay in the mode of practice for as long as I needed to. I was afforded the opportunity after 3.5 years there to eventually run that facility, We had 250 residents living on property in Los Angeles. It was a pretty eclectic group of folks, to say the least, a difficult population to manage. On average, they were arrested about 25 times. And when I went from there, I got the opportunity to come here to Utah with Joseph Rennie and Tim Stay and help start the Other Side Academy, which is a therapeutic community designed specifically to help those with severe drug addiction issues and criminal behavior. And we're 2.5 years long. So that's what really got me into this space, was being able to use my history, my own experiences, to help others get from where I once was to where I'm at today. And I really think one of the biggest problems we face today is just a complete lack of accountability. We want to give things and give things and give things and not have any expectations of people. I wasn't able to change until I went someplace where they expected something of me. They loved me enough to tell me the truth about who I'd become. They loved me enough to tell me the truth about the behaviors that needed to change. And they loved me enough to show me a new way and then give me as much time as I needed. But they didn't hand me anything. They didn't give me anything. I had to earn it. And it just so happens that all of our chronically homeless brothers and sisters are human beings too, and they all have potential. And we do not believe in the bigotry of low expectation. We think everybody is capable of becoming the best version of themselves. It's just incumbent upon us to provide that for them and give them the opportunity to grow into the best versions.
Dave, I have a question specific to Utah, and we'll talk about your conference today in just a second. But I know that I have heard from the legislature and also from Utah's new homeless coordinator, Tyler Clancy, that they really do want an accountability piece, that's something that's really important moving forward. And I've been around long enough to remember when they were doing the Housing First initiative, moved away from that. Are you feeling encouraged to the way the state is moving towards adding in accountability?
I am extremely encouraged. And I think having Tyler Clancy at the helm is a huge, huge plus for the state. He understands the issues. He is great at collaborating. He is great at bringing all of the people together to have the conversations that are needed. And he truly believes in accountability. I think the state is finally starting to say what we've been doing for the last few decades is not working very well. You know, Housing First has been an epic failure. Housing is necessary. It is a component of homelessness when you want to try to fix the problem. But just taking people off the streets and going, here's some keys and here's your new place. I want you to go visit that place 90 days from then. It's going to end up probably being a drug den, and Lord only knows what's going on there. So at the Other Side Village, for example, which we're associated with, right? The Other Side Academy and the Other Side Village are the same organization. We've got 38 acres of land on the west side. We've got right now about 50 tiny homes on foundations. But before we take our brothers and sisters that are currently experiencing homelessness, we send them to the prep school, and they have to go through a process of getting stabilized, clean and sober, and go through the freshman, sophomore, junior, senior phase and learn to be able to live in a community, learn to be able to keep their place clean, learn to be able to live life without drugs, learn to be able to live in a community with your peers, learn to be able to give feedback and receive feedback, and to go through all of those machinations. Once they graduate, then they get to go pick their home, their tiny home, and their beautiful, beautiful homes. And that is now their home forever going forward. But Housing First by itself is not enough. We have to address the issues that cause people to become homeless first, fix those issues, and then give them the opportunity to pick a home. And then we have social enterprises and jobs available for them so that they can work and provide an income for themselves. It's fascinating what you can do when you hold people accountable and you have expectations.
Dave, I do want to give a shout out to the Other Side Academy. As you know, I work in the criminal justice system, and you folks have done an amazing job with our population here that need that kind of assistance. But let me ask you what's going on in the state of Utah right now, what this conference is about, and who's coming, and what we can expect.
Yeah. We've got Dr. Robert Marbut coming, who's been in this homeless space for over 30 years. He's just an enormous expert in this field. And he also understands, as he's traveled the world, primarily traveled the country, to facilities and tiny home villages and working with the chronically homeless population for decades, what's working and what isn't working. Along with him is Gloria Gong, also an expert in the field. And they're both going to be speaking today at the Solutions Utah conference at the Grand America on what's working, what isn't working, and the direction that the government is going, and the direction that we need to continue to go in if we want to improve the problem.
So I'm seeing information about this conference that the theme is people first, compassion, accountability, and community trust. I think anybody who attends today is going to be well served by this.
Yeah, that's very true. It is a people first approach. As I mentioned earlier, it is incumbent upon us to figure out what's causing our folks that are chronically homeless to be homeless, solve those problems. Otherwise, you're just putting them in a tiny home. And if they continually end up homeless, they're going to do that again. So we have to solve the problem. We got to meet them where they're at, figure out what's wrong in their lives. Is it drug addiction? Is it mental health issues? Is it a combination of both? Get those issues resolved, help teach them how to live in a community, help teach them how to take care of their home, and then give them the home that they deserve, and help them even once we put them in a home at the Other Side Village. We have coaches living on property there, right? They're graduates of the academy. About 10% of the eventual 450 homes that will be there will have coaches living there to make sure we keep the culture strong, make sure that the neighborhood is clean and sober, and to make sure that everybody living there is living the way that they're supposed to be living.
All right, Dave, thanks for joining us this morning. That was Dave DeRocher from Solutions Utah, really a great advocate for the homeless community and just a great role model. When we come back after the break, renewed calls to weed out racism within church communities. We're going to chat about race and religion after this.
Amanda, every business needs IT help, and sometimes you've got that guy who already works for your company who knows how to do this stuff, but sometimes you don't, or the guy who knows the IT stuff, that's not his actual job.
Right. So Les Olson IT they can be your 24/7 help desk. They can support your existing help desk. They can do advanced cybersecurity protection. Maybe just come and take a look. Are you subject to phishing or ransomware or other things? What are the cyber threats you're facing?
And you've got to make sure that your data is secure, so both cloud and data backup solutions, they can help you with that. Plus, everybody's got to use a computer. That's where hardware comes in, infrastructure support. You don't have to know all this stuff because Les Olson IT knows it.
And most of the time, they can help you fix whatever's going wrong remotely, just off your computer. Plus, of course, they have copiers and printers. They always will at the very best price.
Les Olson IT is your trusted local IT partner. They've been in business for 70 years, and they've got 9 locations from Logan to Las Vegas.
Find out more at lesolson.com.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 877 Cars for Kids to speak to a friendly live agent. Donation is super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Go to carsforkids.org now or call 877 Cars for Kids to donate your car today.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K.
Can we talk about something difficult to discuss? Are you going through a difficult financial time? You have equity in your home, but nobody can help? American Home Loans has created the Bridge Loan Program to use your equity regardless of your credit at this time. The bridge loan can be used to pay debts, collections, IRS liens, divorce settlements, or home improvements. Call at 801-262-2221. That's 262-2221. This loan creates a bridge between now and a much brighter future. After COVID, one of their clients had over $85,000 in credit cards. Their scores were too low to borrow on their home. American Home Loans was able to save them $2,000 a month. And after 8 months, they qualified for a conventional loan and lowered their payments. The consultation is free and confidential. Please call them and see what they can do for you. The number is 801-262-2221. It's 262-2221, or go to AmericanHomeLoans.com. AmericanHomeLoans.com, NMLS 245422, Equal Housing Lender.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and if you have a drain that's clogged or backed up, after you've tried the plungers and products, the next step usually involves some kind of drain snake or cabling equipment. You see, sometimes the blockage is far enough down the line that you need special equipment that most homeowners just don't have. That's where the Drains Department at Any Hour Services can help. A drain snake can clear most blockages and get the water flowing again, and clearing blocked drains is what our Drains Department does day in and day out. So if you're a homeowner with a drain line that's clogged or backed up and you'd like one of our drain technicians to come and snake the line for you, it's only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to Markdowns for Miles at AutoZone.
Got any markdowns on brakes?
We mark Duralast brake pads down to free.
Free Duralast brake pads?
When you buy 2 rotors.
Can I get Duralast Gold pads for free?
With 2 Duralast Gold rotors, and there's a lifetime warranty on brake pads.
That's a huge markdown for so many miles.
Save on brakes and more during Markdowns for Miles at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
At University of Maryland Global Campus, we know you're no stranger to setting big goals, whether in school, at work, or in life. And you're ready for more. At UMGC, we offer the skills-based education you need to move your career forward. Learn how to apply AI, data science, and other emerging tech. Plus, gain skills in leadership and critical thinking. You've come far. Succeed again. No application fee if you apply by June 1st. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Let me ask you a question. You have a best friend? How big would it shock you if somebody told you that your best friend just killed somebody?
911, what's your emergency?
There's someone on every line saying they kidnapped my son, and they're demanding $500,000.
I've asked myself so many times, what in the world happened?
Ransom is available now. Listen at ransompodcast.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Inside Sources.
Racism exists even in religious communities, even in the state of Utah.
Yeah, and the president of the Genesis Group, an organization for black members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, recently shared his own experiences dealing with racism.
Ronell Hughes says this kind of thing has to be addressed, otherwise things will never change. And he says we're not going to change actions until we change attitudes.
We have Ronell with us this morning. Ronell, thanks for joining us this morning.
How you doing, Andy and Holly?
We're doing great.
Good. And, I live relatively close to where you live, and we have black children in our family who unfortunately have experienced a wide variety of racism. Although the incident that you experienced at the beginning of the month was really, really disturbing.
Yeah, you never expect those things to happen, right? You hope there's good in the community, and I do, and I believe that. But the incident at the beginning of the month was one that kind of literally took me back, if you will. You don't expect to be out walking. I was walking, and somebody yelled, "All N-word will hang," and it took me a minute to really gather myself and understand what the person was saying. And when I did, I was like, "Wait a second, that person's talking to me." And so it happens in our community. It does.
Happen in this community?
Yeah, down in Utah County.
So I mean, Ronell, I guess naively we think that we're sort of beyond that, but someone just drove by and uttered a racial slur to you?
That's correct. Yep. I live in Highland. I was walking right north of, actually by Mitchell Hollow Park. It's actually a park where I coach soccer at. I train a team there. And I was just walking at about 8:50, probably 8:55, between 8:55 and 8:57 in the morning on May 2nd, Saturday, May 2nd. Somebody yelled that racial slur out the window.
So Ronell, what's super disturbing is not only did they use the racial slur, but they basically referenced lynching, like that everybody who is black should be hung. That's not okay.
I mean, it's been interesting to see over the last couple of weeks. I mean, that's the thing that's really disturbing. And yeah, maybe people have said to me, or I've heard different people say, like, "Oh, that's minor. You don't hear that a lot." I'm like, regardless of whether you hear it a lot, that's still problematic that somebody would yell at the thing. And it's not just me, right? I mean, my daughter, who has been thinking about this a lot, she said, hey, they weren't just talking to you, Dad. They were talking to me. They're talking to my brother. They're talking to my sister. They're talking to every Black person that lives here. And again, I think we have to understand that if this attitude exists, then it will continue, right? You can't change the action. The person yelling it is the action, but there behind that is an attitude. It's the way that that person's thinking, how they think about people who are Black or of any cultural group. They may have just yelled at me as a Black person, but who knows what they yell at other people from other groups.
Ronell, I'm not familiar with the Genesis Group, which means I assume some of our listeners are not as well. You're the president of that organization. Can you tell our listeners what that is, what the Genesis Group is?
Yeah, definitely. So the Genesis Group has been around since 1971. It was started under the direction of President Joseph Fielding Smith, Elder Hinckley, Elder Monson, and Elder Packer started it with three great gentlemen. Who one of them still alive today, Darius Gray is one of those, Eugene Orr, and Brother Richforth. These three Black men, they met and they started. And the whole goal of Genesis Group was to support Black Latter-day Saints. I mean, think about 1971, what's happening. They were not allowed to have the priesthood or temple blessings. They were joining the church, but they were still experiencing racism. And this was specifically here, but also across the country. So that's the reason the group was founded. And then it's continued today. So it's been over 50 years. I'm the fifth, I believe, president of Genesis Group, and we really today focus on how can we strengthen and build Black Latter-day Saints and then also the Black Latter-day Saint community. And then we work with church leaders to help really the third bucket, which actually fits with this experience that I had, which is all around how do we improve and strengthen our ward, stakes, and communities so they're inviting and uplifting for Black Latter-day Saints. And I would add into that anybody who feels they've received prejudice so that they feel safe spiritually, mentally, physically, socially, and physically. And that's where we focus. And so today we still have Genesis Group. We meet monthly, and we're here just to help support the Black community, the Black Latter-day Saint community in Utah. And actually beyond, to be honest, we have people contacting us from all over.
So Ronell, I think I'm the mom of some Black children, and I'm white. And my kids have experienced this type of racism. In fact, one of my daughters moved to Salt Lake County because it was more diverse than Utah County where we were living. And she was just so tired of being singled out in negative ways. You mentioned what we can do. And that's my next question then. So those of us who are concerned and we want to change attitudes, what can we do besides just say on social media, gosh, that's bad?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I shared this week was I've had that question, and I have to read this because it's really important to me. I had a senior leader in the church who I worked with who sent me a text Sunday, May 3rd, and it said this: we tend to underestimate the influence of Christ-like individuals in the world. And I'm going to skip forward, and it says it's the aggregation of individual choices over time that forms and changes societies for good or ill. No one of us alone can change the world, but each of us can have an influence in the world. And that's President D. Todd Christofferson. That's what he said in his most recent conference talk. And I share that because each of us can be an influence on this topic, right? Like, it's one thing to say you're sorry, but then what can you do? The first thing I'd recommend is hey, lead out with conversations with your family, discuss it openly. And clearly in your homes, that racist attitudes and actions are direct contradictions with discipleship. And with our, with Christ-like love. That's the first thing. The second thing is speak up immediately. It's interesting to think about this. Like, people will either shy away or they won't engage. But one of the things I said is refuse to be silent. Confront and call out prejudice whenever you witness it in your church circles and in the community. The third thing is at schools. So schools is where I hear it mostly. And you can't even, I don't think people understand what's happening to not just Black, young people, but also Latinos, Polynesian, and Asians, where they hear racial slurs in school. So ask your local administrators and school board members how they're addressing demeaning language and racial slurs in schools. And then the last thing I would say, to be honest, is we need to challenge our public leaders. We need to demand that local and state officials stop using divisive rhetoric that fosters hatred and insist they model decency and respect for every citizen. And those are the four things that I shared this week that in my mind are super, super important right now.
Ronell, you described an experience that happened to you a couple weeks ago, and Holly talked about an experience with her own daughter.
Multiple.
Multiple. But can you tell us, since 1971, and have things gotten better? I mean, it seems from the outside that they have.
Last September, we started seeing a dip in our numbers at Genesis Group, and we were discussing it as a presidency and as a council. And then I talked to a lot of folks, and a dear friend of mine, he actually referenced this in the article from the Salt Lake Tribune, Darius Gray. He's received calls from all over the country from people. I get calls from all over the country. I get emails from people in Canada and other places. And it's interesting to hear that they feel like it's gotten worse. And so I think it's something that if you're not in it and you're not experiencing it, you think things have gotten better. And part of it actually is too, that you don't hear people sharing it. One of the reasons why I shared my experience is because I've heard too many of these over my last 2 years as a Genesis Group president. And for me, if I don't speak up, if I don't stand for truth in a compassionate way, then it gets hidden, right? The person that's carrying it is the person that's Black or their family members, and they keep it to themselves, or they end up moving, like Holly's daughter, to a different place in the state or the country because they feel like it's safer for them. And so, from my experience and what I've been hearing, and especially in the leadership group that I have within Genesis Group, and how we come together in council about how we can support Black Latter-day Saints and Black people in the state of Utah, that's what we're hearing, that it actually feels like it's getting worse.
Yeah. All right. Well, we need to do more, and I will continue to do as much as I can. So thanks, Rennell. That's Rennell Hugh, president of the Genesis Group. When we come back, as people prepare for summer in the water, we have to take a closer look at the importance of swim lessons. So we're going to have more water safety special coverage when we come back after this break.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Amanda Dixon. Our top story this hour: expect heavy traffic delays over the Memorial Day weekend. UDOT says delays will be the heaviest on Friday and Monday, especially for people driving US 6 through Spanish Fork Canyon. Other trouble spots will be I-15 between Spanish Fork and Nehi, US 89 between Logan and Bear Lake, and US 40 between Heber and Duchesne. Governor Spencer Cox announced last hour a statewide emergency due to the drought conditions. He's calling for everyone to find ways to conserve water. Southwestern Utah is also now under Stage 1 fire restrictions. That means if you're headed to Washington, Iron, Kane, Garfield, or Beaver counties for the holiday weekend, campfires are not allowed on any federal public lands. Our top national story this hour from ABC News: Iran says it has created the Persian Gulf Strait Authority to manage ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz.
Iran has the ability to threaten ships, and that is why there are hundreds of ships stuck in the Persian Gulf to the west of there and can't get out. The U.S. military blockade is a significant distance to the east, beyond the Gulf of Oman, basically where that goes into the Arabian Sea. That is where the U.S. military has multiple ships stationed and is not letting any ships which are going to or from Iranian ports or having Iranian-linked goods on them to transit through those waters. So it's a U.S. blockade on the Iranian blockade.
ABC's Tom Sufi-Burridge says the U.S. military says Iran does not control any of the strait. Your money at this moment: the Dow is down 102 at this hour. We're at 49,906. Coming up in your perfect holiday weekend forecast, KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:32.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
Serenity now! Serenity now!
Are you okay?
Okay. Gas is up. Groceries are up. Everything up, up, up.
Not at Strong Volkswagen.
Strong Volkswagen.
Yeah, purchase any vehicle with a dime. One dime down.
What is the deal with dimes?
One dime down. Plus, oil changes at just $59.95 at Strong Volkswagen.
Just $59.95?
Or lease a new 2026 Jetta S. Just $235 a month. $235.
Fun fact, new Jetta get up to 42 mpg.
Even new all-wheel drive Atlas. Just $432 a month. $432.
And you get a lifetime warranty. Lifetime. But my own mother won't loan me money.
You're not getting the money! It's okay. If you got a job and a dime, you ride, mister.
This is great. I'm back, baby, during Volkswagen Driver Days.
At Strong Volkswagen. For over 70 years, Strong Volkswagen.
Located downtown.
StrongVW.com.
StrongVW.com. For details, call 801-596-2200.
Jeff Kaplan here. Got to tell you, the paint job looked great. And our friend Sue couldn't say enough good things about CertaPro painters. They were professional, zero drama. They cleaned up. The house looks amazing. And if you need your house painted, you should know that CertaPro makes it a worry-free experience, and they do it at the right price. CertaPro Painters has 70,000 five-star reviews. Local trusted professionals. Get a detailed free estimate at CertaPro.com. That's Certa with a C. CertaPro.com. Each CertaPro Painters business is independently owned and operated.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-292-4541 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-292-4541. That's 800-292-4541. What do you have to lose? Call 800-292-4541. Again, 800-292-4541.
Where will summer take you? With UTA's rider's license, kids ages 6 to 18 ride all summer for just $49. Get yours today on the Transit app or at rideuta.com.
Emergency traffic brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. What's going on, Cormac?
Well, we've got a crash on southbound I-15 in Ogden. This is near Pennsylvania Avenue, 24th Street. And they are blocking all but one right lane. And so those stop-and-go delays are stacking up quick and reaching back toward 12th Street. If you're in the area, you may want to get off at 12th Street and take 1900 West to get around the crash all the way down to 31st. Otherwise, we're seeing some heavier traffic southbound I-15 in Davis County approaching Farmington in that construction zone. And we do still have the City Street crash northbound Main Street at Gentile Street in Layton, and it looks like they've opened up some lanes. The congestion there has eased up a little bit in that intersection. If your roof needs repair or replacement, do it now during SNS Roofing's huge spring sale. Flexible financing options available. Get the best value on the highest quality roofing job. Get a quote today at snsroofingutah.com. Cormac Bone in the KSL Traffic Center.
We'll have a few showers this morning, then clearing out this afternoon. A high today of 68, 72 tomorrow. We're in the 80s starting on Saturday. Right now, it's 61 degrees. I'm Amanda Dixon from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, here's kind of a troubling stat, Holly. That is to say, about 55% of all Americans, over half, can't swim. That means they can't either swim at all outright, or they can't do basic things like tread in water for a minute, swim 25 yards, or even get out of a pool without a ladder.
So we're continuing our in-depth look at water safety, and today we're talking about swim lessons. And one of the things that's really interesting to me is how many, as you mentioned, how many adults don't know how to swim. I just thought it was kind of a thing everybody did, and I realized that is not true.
I have to thank the scouting program for me, because we all took scouting, and you had to swim. I think there was like a merit badge, mile swim or something. I had to swim a mile.
And you got to like save yourself.
And it was one of those. I was one of those people. I had to do that, so I learned to swim.
Well, we have with us Ashley Spence, a swim lesson instructor at Clearfield Aquatic and Fitness Center. Thanks for joining us, Ashley.
It's nice to be here.
I think when we think of swim lessons, at least for me, I think about, okay, swim lessons for kids. So let's just start there. And can you tell us, like, at what age should parents start thinking about or putting their kids in swim lessons?
So here at Clearfield, we actually offer swim lessons starting at 6 months. We have our parent and child courses that we teach and offer. And I think as early as you can start getting your kids in and getting them used to the water, it's so great. You can do things at home as well just to help them get acclimated to the water, pouring the water over their heads, laying them down, getting their ears wet. There's just so many things that we can start doing from the very beginning with our kids.
Ashley, what do the kids do at 6 months? I mean, do the parents sort of hold them in the water? Do they start moving around in the water, start trying to understand buoyancy?
Yes. So we teach them mostly we focus a lot on those safety skills, back floats, climbing in and out of the pool, getting them doing those movements. And kids really just start moving around and learning how to feel the water. And the earlier we can get them doing that, the better.
So I have a question now about adult swim lessons. And one of my in-law kids joined our family not knowing how to swim. And I was surprised by that. Do you offer swim classes for adults? And the second question, I guess, is do you have people who say, I don't want to tell anybody that I don't know how to swim? How do you overcome that part?
So yes, we have that happen quite often. Here at Clearfield, I have people calling me all the time, just a little bit nervous and embarrassed about the fact that they have never had swim lessons in their life. And it's honestly one of my favorite things when people just reach out and talk to me about it, and I can just help them figure out like where they should be and what they should be doing for that. We offer all kinds of lessons here. We have them for every age, every ability. We offer the adult classes where you can go in a group, or we offer private lessons where they can go one-on-one so that they can feel more comfortable and they can feel like their lessons are targeted to them.
You know, my own father never learned to swim, and so what he did, actually, he just never went near the water, which was just, it was just sad. But can you tell our listeners, do adults learn to swim? I mean, is there some progress where you can have somebody who can't swim and they're in their 40s or 50s, and suddenly they're able to do what they need to do to tread water and swim and actually get around a pool?
Yes, we've had so many experiences like that where people come in and they are just absolutely terrified of water. I personally had one lady that I taught years and years ago. She came in, she was 90, and she said, my one goal is to be able to float on my back before I pass. And I just thought that was so amazing. And we actually had her swimming, and her body felt so much better just by being in the water and learning how to do that. And she felt so accomplished from learning those things. Every age, every ability can learn those basic skills.
So, Ashley, I have a question for you, because I saw an article that said kids stop swimming lessons too early. And I have seen that within my own family. Like, the kids will go for a little while and they're like, okay, I'm good. But they're not actually that good at swimming. Is there a point where there's a graduation where you can say, look, you don't have to become competitive, but for the rest of your life, you can call yourself a swimmer? Is there, what's the breakdown there?
So my thoughts on it are, a lot of people like to say that they have graduated, or they're now water safe and stuff like that. And honestly, throughout our whole lives, we just have to practice safe practices in the water. And we should always be practicing and getting better in the water and more competent. There was a time in my life where I went to the lake. I'd been swimming forever, since I was 3. I got a cramp from my toe all the way up to my rib cage, and I was struggling. And luckily I had other people there who were with me and kept me safe. But a lot of parents think that just because their kids are swimming competently in the water or moving across the water, that they are water safe. But water's not always safe. So I love when people just continue on, even if they don't want that competitive aspect. If they're coming in lap swimming, it's so good for your health anyways. So it's just such a good thing to continue doing.
We're speaking with Ashley Spence, swim lesson instructor at Clearfield Aquatic and Fitness Center. And Ashley, can you tell us sort of the state of technology right now that maybe you're using up there in Clearfield for what we call anti-drowning devices?
So we had been using the wave technology, but we actually have moved away from that. They are a great technology. It just wasn't a great fit with our center. We do still use our lifeguard entry system here just to help with alert throughout the whole facility, so that once a lifeguard does enter, we do know that they have gone in and we can respond and help faster.
Okay, so can you talk, what does that mean, a lifeguard alert? Is there something that's water activated that lifeguards wear, so when they get wet, people know? How does that work?
Yeah, so it actually is just a Bluetooth device that is connected to our lifeguard tubes. And once the Bluetooth is cut off and it's not alerting the system anymore, it starts to go off, and it just lets everybody in the facility know that we need to be responding to something.
Ashley, what do you consider, and we've only got about a minute left, sort of the level of competency that you'd want a person to have swimming, like to be able to tread water for 5 minutes, to be able to swim 2 laps or something? Is there some level of that you feel like a person should obtain so that they can get in the water and go boating and not feel uncomfortable?
I feel no matter what your competency, you need to be wearing life jackets and doing all those things to stay safe. Like I said, there's always going to be those moments that you are feeling less than confident, or you could have something happen, a cramp, anything like that could happen at any moment. So just making sure that you are practicing those safety practices wherever you're at in the water. So swimming with people, wearing life jackets, having staying near the shore, keeping these kids safe. It's so important. Keeping your eyes on the children is super important, putting those devices down and being present. So no matter your competency level, always be there.
All right. Thanks so
Good
much.
advice.
That was Ashley Spence, swim lesson instructor at Clearfield Aquatic and Fitness Center. And we've, again, continued our conversation about water safety this week.
Yeah. Never too old to learn to swim.
I know. And, again, I think sometimes, too, like my daughter, Jazzy, I'll keep picking on her. She just graduated from 6th grade this year. So today, actually. So that's really fun. But one of the things that she does is she says, well, I know how to swim. She doesn't. She knows how to tread water.
Yeah.
But she can't do the hand over the head and breathe while she's swimming. She just has to tread. So I want to get her back into swim lessons. Okay, now this is a continuation of Summer Story. So if you're planning to head down to central or southern Utah this long holiday weekend, we're going to talk about the traffic congestion and what you need to know to still have a fun Memorial Day. So stay with us.
Every once in a while you accomplish something in your life that just makes you feel good. And I had one of those moments just this week. That is to say, I gained a weight that I wanted to, actually lost weight to get to a level that I wanted to be. And I was so excited about it. My pants are looser now. I'm walking a little bit better. I hooked up with Soto Diet Nutrition about a month or so ago and told them that I needed to lose weight. I told them how much I needed to lose, and they said, well, you can plan on 2 or 3 pounds a week. And so I set the goal to get to my target weight by my birthday, which is in the middle of July. I reached my goal yesterday. After just 6 weeks, I had lost almost 30 pounds, 26 pounds exactly, and I feel really good about it. Now I'm just going to stay at this weight, and I think I can do that as well. Soda Diet Nutrition is based on food, just food, no pills, no injections. It's a diet program, a coaching program. It's worked really well for me. The nutritionist and I speak every week about what we're doing, what I've gained, and it's just been so fun. I really like it, and I don't starve myself. I have good meals. I have meals regularly. In fact, I eat more meals a day than I did before. Soda Diet Nutrition, SOTA. Join us for a short time to have results that last a lifetime.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
You may not think about Great Salt Lake, but it's affecting your life every day. It brings lake effect snow and epic powder days. It supports thousands of jobs that keep Utah thriving. It provides a haven for millions of birds. And it keeps our air cleaner and our summers cooler. It also could affect your home's value, your kids' asthma, your morning run, your powder days, your future. Without a healthy lake, we face toxic dust storms full of mercury and arsenic, along with higher health costs, fewer jobs, and lower home values. This isn't just an environmental issue, it's personal. The lake affects you. Now, it's your turn to affect the lake, because our lives depend on our lake. Act now at growgsl.org.
Old Faithful.
Mammoth Hot Springs, wolves in the Lamar Valley. This summer, experience America's first national park the way the locals do, with expert guides from See Yellowstone. After a day of adventure, unwind at the historic Three Bear Lodge, then enjoy a signature prime rib dinner or wake up to our famous breakfast buffet, all included in your package. Skip the stress. We'll handle everything. Book your Yellowstone adventure today at SeeYellowstone.com.
This year, Utahns are celebrating the 250th anniversary of our country, Utah style, because everything from Utah's red rock deserts to our snowy peaks are worth celebrating. It's our land, our communities. Join us in celebrating our country with Utah style. Join the statewide celebration. Get involved at america250.utah.gov. Brought to you by America First Credit Union.
Check engine or ABS light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. It's free. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. Here's a tale of Becky. Didn't know what to do with new meds prescribed and no real cost clue.
She squinted at prices, that can't be right. Then tapped GoodRx and saw the light.
She could get a deal. Book telehealth if she feels.
Learn about those meds without any stress. That one little app does all the rest. Even my horse downloaded it. Dang, save time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insurance.
Support comes from Amazon Business. Free your team from time-consuming procurement tasks. Discover smart business buying where unmatched selection meets AI-driven tools to simplify complex processes so you can focus on what matters most. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
If you've got a honey-do list with electrical, plumbing, heating, or air conditioning projects on it, Any Hour Services can help. Call Any Hour Services, electrical, plumbing, heating, and air. AnyHourServices.com.
The new Inside Sources.
All right, so Greg, do you have any fun plans for the long holiday weekend?
Actually do. We have a place down in Torrey, Utah, which is next to Capitol Reef, and on 3-day weekends we love to go down there. We're going down Friday right after we do the movie show, and we're going to drive down, spend the weekend there. We got a little Sprinter van, and I love that area. It's just so fun.
So for you and other people heading out, you've got to be prepared for congestion and some delays. And I know that these Mighty Five, Utah's Mighty Five parks, people are expecting to see a lot of crowd.
Yeah, and it's always a crowded weekend. You just got to give yourself time. Just recognize you're going to be in traffic. It's going to be kind of bad. And just sit back, listen to some KSL radio and enjoy the ride.
Well, we have with us on the line Anna Lockridge. She's the Director of Communications with the Utah Office of Tourism. And thanks for joining us, Anna.
Thanks so much for having me, Greg and Holly.
So we know Memorial Day weekend is just around the corner. In fact, I think some people are probably starting today. I wonder if you can share some of your top tips on how visitors can make the most of this coming up weekend.
Yeah, well, I would say it is officially Memorial Day weekend. Looking at, we're always in the weeds with travel data and things like that. And AAA is expecting 45 million Americans to travel domestically this weekend. And Salt Lake International actually just released their predictions of today, tomorrow. They're expecting to see 30,000 travelers each day. So that just kind of gives you a little perspective. But like Greg mentioned, long holiday weekends really are ideal for travel because we have that extra day off. Our kiddos are off from school. It's just such a great time to get out and explore our Mighty Five national parks and beyond. I think you already touched on it and nailed it. If visitors, Utahns are really able to plan ahead, stay flexible, then they'll be able to make the most of their travels. Where are you headed, Holly?
I am not headed anywhere. I'm headed to my backyard to finish planting in my planter boxes. Woohoo!
That feels good.
We're close to Capitol Reef, which is rarely crowded. But what can you tell our guests that are going to places like Arches? I mean, because that's one of the, we talk about the Big Five. That's one of the biggest of the Big Five. Going down to areas like that in Moab, where you're going to see a lot more people than we're going to see in Torrey.
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually am heading down to Moab this Memorial Day weekend, so I can tell you what I am going to be doing, especially because I want to visit Arches National Park. I will be checking the Arches entrance station webcam to make sure that I am able to enter and traffic isn't backed up. I will be arriving either before 7 a.m., depending on if I can get my toddler going and the coffee machine running early, or after 2 p.m. Those are typically the best time frames to stick to. And also really leaning into flexibility, making sure that I am prepared to pivot to explore lesser traveled areas. And also we're keeping in mind that Arches is just one part of the Moab experience this Memorial Day weekend and beyond, right? There is incredible scenery, adventure experiences from, even nearby Canyonlands National Park. We absolutely will be going there. Also, our great state parks, Utah Raptor State Park, Dead Horse Point State Park. And then we're using other travel things to inspire us, like the Utah Film Trail. Moab is actually celebrating 100 movies made this year. So that's a fun thing to get out and explore, from Thelma and Louise, that famous jump. Mission Impossible was filmed there, Thunderbolts. I mean, there's so much to do.
Yeah, my favorite activity in Moab is the Slick Rock Trail, which is not in the park, but it's wild and fun, and it's a great thing to do with your kids. Of course, sounds like yours is probably a little too young.
Yeah, we're getting there. We're trying to build an adventurer and a traveler. I think sometimes it's a good reminder too, as Utahns, that we are visitors, we are travelers as well. So the more that we can do to prepare and plan ahead, not only are we going to have a better experience, but we're also going to be doing right by our local communities and making sure that we're supporting businesses and protecting these beautiful places that we all treasure so much.
So, Anna, while you were speaking, I pulled up the webcam for Arches entrance station, and it has gotten busier just while the last 2 minutes, right? So just watching cars going in and waiting, I guess, right now. Do people need a pass to go into Arches?
That's a great question. Yes, and Capitol Reef, Bryce, Zion, Canyonlands. And we recommend for all of our Mighty Five national parks to purchase your annual pass beforehand. In Moab, you could go to the Moab Information Center. They sell them right there. You can go online to purchase your pass, and that really will create a smoother experience, and you'll be maximizing your fun.
Is there a general pass, Anna, that fits all the parks? One pass fits all?
Yes. Your national park pass is yep, you can do that. So I would recommend getting your annual pass. There's also a great annual pass for state parks. Again, you're always going to have a smoother experience when you're arriving. And again, like you said, Holly, looking at the camera, guess what time it is? It's 11 a.m. It is peak visitation time. So again, if you can get out, imagine seeing the sunrise at Arches National Park. Imagine it.
Oh, yeah.
So, Anna, I just have a quick question. You mentioned you have a toddler. What is your best hot tip for parents of young kids when they're heading out this Memorial Day weekend?
Okay, well, I think that we all know this as parents, but prepare, not only for yourself, but for your kiddo. But that means you're hydrated. You have all of the snacks. Make sure that you are wearing proper footwear and that your kiddo has proper footwear. We are, as you know, we're entering a season of sunshine and heat. So we're always making sure that we have our SPF or our sun hoodies. But again, I think the more prepared that you are able to be, then the better time you're going to have. I think I grew up in Salt Lake, and our Memorial Days were always full of packing up the car, hitting the road, and experiencing one of our beautiful outdoor destinations. And my dad used to always say, if we over prepare, then we can improvise and we can do it well. So that's our biggest tip.
It seems like, Anna, a lot of people think that to enjoy the national parks here, you have to be fit and carry a backpack and carry water and hike up to see Natural Bridge or Delicate Arch. But there are ways for people that aren't as fit or maybe aren't as young to enjoy these parks. It seems like they've built more and more access so that people can see. Like I saw last time I was at Delicate Arch, there was an area where people could drive and see it in a fashion they couldn't before. But these parks are open to all ages now and really should be available to all people of all ages.
Absolutely. And it's also a great reminder that there is so much more to do than hiking, right? Scenic drives, absolutely. Also the local businesses that have great viewpoints, right? I mean, you can enjoy a great coffee or matcha or meal, whatever it is, at any point of the day. There are incredible cultural and arts experiences. Also, if you're looking for alternative recreation, a raft trip, right? I mean, you can go for a great float right there in Moab and many of our other beautiful destinations. So thank you.
All right. That was Anna Lockridge, Director of Communications at the Utah Office of Tourism. Holly, now, are you changing your mind about not going to a national park? You probably have family coming to town. You probably have all kinds of things going on.
No, but look, I have done the hike up to Delicate Arch, and I am not in shape, and I'm not used to hiking, but I was still able to make it. We had to take, I had to go a little slower,
once or twice,
right? Yeah, and I just did it with my husband, but it was really fun.
Yeah, and I've done those slick rock trails down there, not like I did when I was 20, 30 years ago, but it was a lot of fun. Well, in the next hour of Inside Sources,
Memorial Day weekend really represents the unofficial start to summer, and I think there's so many people that are going to be out on the roads.
That was John Gleason, and yes, it is going to be a busy, long weekend. We're going to talk about that after this.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
It's 11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Cameron Elliott. KSL's top local story this hour. Southwestern Utah is now under Stage 1 fire restrictions. That means if you're headed to Washington, Iron, Kane, Garfield, or Beaver counties for the holiday weekend, campfires are not allowed on any federal public lands. In other local news, a Heber Valley bypass project may have some redesigns coming after initial plans sparked protests. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
UDOT announced to the Wasatch City Council that they are looking at moving a raised bypass into more underdeveloped land and away from residents and businesses after protests and a letter from their city council saying the first designs cut right through the Northfields farmland and could contaminate groundwater.
Let's see if there's ways that we can reduce some of those impacts by maybe shifting it a little further to the east.
UDOT's project manager Craig Hancock says they'll be reviewing the changes to make sure they can still meet the initial goals of the design. They'll announce final plans by the end of the year. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
Since we're in a drought, you may need to make some tweaks to how you water your lawn. The Utah Division of Water Resources recommends watering your lawn just once this week in most of Utah. USU horticulturist Ton Bettis says you can go even less often than that to conserve water.
1 inch of water monthly will keep the lawn dormant but alive.
Bettis recommends checking with your water authority for restriction updates. Taking a look at your money at this moment, we've got red across the board right now. It's negative 247 points down on the Dow Jones. That's about 0.5%. The S&P 500 down 54 points. Or 23 points rather. That's 31.31%. And the Nasdaq is down 102 points. That is 0.39%. Coming up, the sky above Salt Lake City is looking pretty gloomy. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:02.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Hey, John, why so glum? I just got let go. The company's downsizing. This is the third time in the last 2 years. I'm done with this. Have you thought about My Computer Career? I've heard they can train you for a career in IT in just a few months, including cybersecurity and the basics of AI. And you don't need prior training or experience. Now that's a recession-resistant career.
Wow, thanks. I'll check them out.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation. Mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Pump up the volume.
Business moves fast. Orders roll in, deadlines close in. When you ship with USPS Ground Advantage, you can keep up with confidence. Every package stays in our secure network from dock to door. And with nationwide reach, dependable tracking, and upfront affordable pricing, you get built-in peace of mind. You run the business. We run the routes. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to learn more.
Did you get hit with a huge tax penalty this year because of your health insurance last year? Have you spoken with your accountant to find out what your monthly premium really cost you after the government took back that subsidy? I'm Mike at My Policy Quote, and I help families so they don't need to find out the hard way if your income changed. You picked up extra work, sold property, or just had a good year? That tax credit could have cost you thousands. My name's Mike, and at My Policy Quote, my freedom of choice plan saves clients 30 to 60%. Keep your doctors, lower your out-of-pockets, and use a national PPO network. If you pay your own health insurance on COBRA, uninsured, or employer plan is just too much, even self-employed or small businesses, call me, Mike, today. 385-367-6779. Again, that's 385-367-6779. Or visit mypolicyquote.com. That's mypolicyquote.com. All my clients tell me they wish they switched sooner and they could have saved all those thousands of dollars over the years. Don't delay. Call today.
This is Nate Orchard from Advanced Window Products. When you live in Utah, your windows do a lot more than let the light in. They protect your home from freezing winters, blazing summers, and everything in between. That's why Advanced Window Products builds every window for your local climate. No middleman, no out-of-state delays, just factory direct quality, custom made for your home. Imagine a quieter home, a warmer home, a cooler home. Our high-efficiency vinyl windows are engineered to lower your energy bills and boost your comfort all year round. And installation is done by our own certified in-house crews, never subcontractors. That's why Utah homeowners give us 5-star reviews. Right now, take advantage of our anniversary sale. For a limited time, get $2,500 off when you buy 10 or more windows. Call 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100. For 40 years, Advanced Window Products has been the name Utah trusts for custom replacement windows and sliding glass doors. Advanced Window Products, built here, installed here, trusted here. Call 801-850-9100 for that $2,500 off, or visit us at advancedwindows.com to schedule your free in-home estimate.
Well, we got emergency traffic brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. Here is Ricky Meese.
We do have a nasty crash in Weber County southbound on I-15 near 24th Street in Ogden. 3 left lanes of traffic are blocked, and it looks like they're trying to divert traffic off the freeway at the exit ramp near 24th Street, getting you around the crash, and then they'll let you back on the freeway. But right now, no more traffic getting through where this crash involves a tractor trailer and looks like a rolled camper. And we do have solid delays back to 4th North Pioneer Road in Marriott Slaterville. Also in Utah County, UHP doing an unusual freeway slowdown. Now, I thought this was a crash. I am not seeing a problem on the road, but UHP doing a slowdown, holding back all traffic on southbound I-15. Right now, they are approaching Center Street, Provo, but the backups are all the way to Center Street, Orem. The Good Feet store, supporting you with comfort no matter what the day brings. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today we're going to be looking at a high of 30% chance of rain. We're looking at a high of 68 today. Things are going to warm up through the week. We're going to break into the 80s on Saturday, and that's going to climb until Monday when we hit a high of 87. Right now, though, it's 63 degrees and showery downtown. I'm Cameron Elliott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSL News Radio. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, Memorial Day weekend is just around the corner, and that's the unofficial start of summer, and it looks like it's going to be pretty busy around the state of Utah.
You know, and not just Utah, but AAA expects 45 million Americans are going to travel for the long Memorial Day weekend. So if you're one of those, you're in good company. Although some people, maybe you don't want to be around that many people.
Yeah, and it's always the same, but there's congestion around the state, and there's always certain areas that you just get slammed.
You just know.
Yeah,
you just know.
And so it's always good to sort of be on the lookout and find out where the places are when you want to travel. I think that our last guest said, get up, go before 7
early.
or after 2. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Go early. So UDOT spokesperson John Gleason spoke to KSL about the biggest trouble spots they tend to see on this holiday weekend. U.S. Highway 6 from Spanish Fork down to Carbon County.
The major trouble spot this weekend is going to be US 6, Spanish Fork Canyon. We have a big project, interchange project underway at Thistle Junction that's going to improve safety there and help people get through, but in the meantime, the rest of this year, and especially on holiday weekend, that's where we're going to see some major delays. So if we can get people to travel early, leave early Friday morning, leave early Saturday morning, come back early Monday morning, or stay an extra day, that's really the goal of getting this information out there. Because if you're out there during the peak travel times on Friday afternoon and then again on Monday afternoon, it's going to ruin your trip because there are major delays that people are going to face, and we just want to make sure that people have the information. If they have to be out there at that time, they understand what's happening. But also, if you can avoid it by traveling at different times than everybody else is traveling, then that's ideal.
And I'm very familiar with that canyon because I go to court at Price every once in a while. You go from Spanish Fork into Price and back. And during the holidays, I've been caught in that area really badly a few times. And there's not a lot. There is one route I've found through Highway 40 going out toward the basin and going down. You can avoid that.
That's a good
then
one.
You can go from the south, too, if you want to come in from Moab and go up. But both of those are way out of the way. But, yeah, avoid Highway 6 or at least go during certain times when you can avoid the rush.
So they're expecting that delays could reach up to 90 minutes during peak travel. But I'll just say this, too. I would just go planning on having delays. Don't be frustrated. Be patient. Use the bathroom before you take off, right? So you're not stuck in traffic and have a bathroom emergency. And just plan on it, right? No need for road rage. No need for road annoyance, right? I told my husband yesterday, in fact, that I don't get road ragey, but I do get road annoyed because some people are they're just not considerate drivers. They're whipping around you in the shoulder, right, when they're supposed to merge, and Anyway, they don't think that you're going fast enough.
And you have to be aware weekend that it's not like everybody's just driving their little sedan. I mean, we've got big trucks with fifth wheels. We've got trailers. We've got vans. You've got, like you say, boats. I mean, and for me, we traveled down I-15 for a ways, and there are some areas there that just get plugged up. You just have to know that that's going to happen. But there are alternate routes. You can take 89. You can take other ways. And they're more scenic. They're a little bit slower because you have to go through towns where they have a lower speed limit. But sometimes if you have a smart GPS system on your phone, it'll find the better rate, better route.
Right. So I would just say incorporate that as part of your travel plan. So you mentioned I-15. So UDOT is saying you can expect up to 30 minutes of additional delay between Spanish Fork and Nephi. That's a place where it kind of clogs up, I think, regularly. There's also some delays from Logan to Bear Lake, an additional 30 minutes there. And then this is on Friday. You're expecting that on Friday, probably later afternoon. And then coming back on Monday, same kind of thing, same places, right? Except I-15, maybe an additional 40 minutes. But another 90 minutes coming up through Spanish Fork Canyon.
Yeah, and these aren't just local issues. I mean, holiday travels across the country are really bad for long weekends. Wildfires, flash flooding, other concerns. ABC's Lionel Moise reports from New York.
In Newark, New Jersey, air traffic controllers diverting flights, warning pilots there was no more space at the airport.
The tower just called us and said they cannot take any more airplanes.
The weather isn't the only thing complicating holiday travel. At LaGuardia, a sinkhole forced officials to shut down one of 2 runways, delaying hundreds of flights. Meanwhile, on the road, gas prices remain high, but that's not stopping the more than 45 million Americans who are expected to travel at least 50 miles this weekend.
So that's a lot of people, and what AAA is projecting, the 45 million, it's actually up from last year. They think more people will travel this year than last year.
Which is surprising because of what he just mentioned, gas prices.
I know.
Gas prices are up $2 since the war started. $2.
Yes.
And so I would have thought that might discourage some people from going, because if you're pulling a boat or trailer or taking a truck, you're using
gonna suck through it.
You're going to use a lot more gas than you would otherwise. But I think people are willing to pay that and just to get out. And staycation. Utah has not just the 5 parks, but we have hundreds of state parks, and they're wonderful. They're just as beautiful as the national parks, and they're just outside of it. I mean, you know what I mean?
And we know in Salt Lake County, remember we just did the story, the 511.
Right, yeah.
And these aren't state parks. Some of them are even neighborhood parks and HOA parks. But look, there's lots of stuff to do, and I'm going to do yard work. So I think that's actually okay too. We don't typically leave town, especially not on the really big travel holidays. We're like, we don't want to do that. But I'm looking at information from AAA. This will be, if 45 million people actually do hit the roads, or at least 50 miles, that's a record going back almost a decade from what I'm looking at the chart. The big drop, as you might expect, was in 2020, and then we've just been trying to creep back up.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I don't mind.
Oh, yeah.
Rebecca, my wife, does not like the long commutes.
You just, listen to books or music, and just expect delays are part of the adventure, right? Part of the adventure.
And be nice to the other motorists. Let people in.
Oh,
follow the speed limit.
Please do.
Don't worry about getting there fast.
Please do. So next on Inside Sources, college students and young adults continue to face an onslaught of mental health challenges. We're going to have a conversation about that with a psychiatrist. So stay with us over this next break.
Usually when something sounds way too good to be true, it is. Imagine someone saying you can cut your mobile bill in half. Sounds like a fantasy, but with Xfinity Mobile, it's the real deal. Because when you have Xfinity Internet, you can cut your mobile bill in half, plus try Xfinity Mobile free for a year. No commitment. That's a lot of streaming, sharing, scrolling, whatever else you can do with your phone, all for half the price and none of the commitment. That means you'll save big over Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. Wild. Now all you have to do is think about how you'll spend all that extra money. Call 1-800-XFINITY, go to xfinitymobile.com, or visit your local Xfinity store to switch today. Xfinity. Imagine that. Restrictions apply. Savings compare one line of Xfinity Mobile Select to comparable plans from T-Mobile, Verizon, and AT&T as of 3/24/26. Taxes, fees, extra. $30 monthly discount limited to new mobile customers only after 12 months. Regular rates apply. Go to xfinitymobile.com.
I'm Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox. Don't face the IRS alone.
I was self-employed, and I got behind on my taxes. And then 1 year became 2 years and 3 years, and $116,535.47 to be exact. It just became overwhelming. Finally, I went to another tax company, and they were more interested in how good they were than helping me. I heard about Jordan and talking to the other people who'd done and been in the same situations that I was in, and their tax problems seemed just like mine. And so I went to Jordan, and it was amazing. They were able to negotiate it down to $5,200, and life became wonderful to me.
Don't face the IRS alone. You need a tax attorney that's not afraid to fight for you. Visit endtaxworry.com to schedule your free consultation. That's endtaxworry.com.
I will be forever grateful.
Emergency traffic on KSL News Radio, brought to you by UCCU. Improve cash flow with a home equity line of credit. Right now, all traffic being pushed off the freeway southbound I-15 in Weber County due to a crash involving multiple vehicles. big vehicles, including a rolled camper. This is southbound I-15 near 24th Street in Ogden. Heavy delays backing into Marriott Slaterville. On the opposite end of the valley, southbound I-15, a crash and vehicle fire. Just adding to delays as you're traveling towards 90th South in Sandy. Traffic is blocked off in the right lanes. Fire crews are on the scene, and they are dousing the flames. A lot of smoke in the air, but backups to Midvale past 7200 South. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Is the volatility of the stock market driving you crazy? Is your retirement account sinking, yet you're getting older, and you're starting to worry about, will I have enough for retirement? What about the money in the bank? These banks pay nothing these days. How do we get growth to get to retirement account? It's simple. Move into gold and silver. Want to know how to do it? Listen to my show, Striking Gold, with me, Kenny Michaels.
Now on Saturday at 5 p.m.
Do you have chirping smoke detectors? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and if you've ever experienced chirping smoke detectors, you already know how annoying it can be. A great first step to try and stop the chirping is to change the batteries. If the chirping continues, it's possible that your smoke detector has gone bad. As a matter of fact, a lot of people don't even realize that manufacturers recommend replacing the smoke detector altogether after 10 years. If you remove the smoke detector from the wall, on the back you should find a date of when it was made. Do a little math and you'll know how old it is. Now, Any Hour Services knows being a homeowner means you've got a list a mile long of things to do around the house, and check my electrical system probably isn't one of them. That's why we've put together this radio special for any homeowners listening. One of our licensed electricians will perform a comprehensive inspection of your electrical system that includes testing those smoke detectors and give you a full written report for only $29. But you have to mention this ad when you call. Call Any Hour Services to schedule it. 801-443-7300. 801-443-7300. Any Hour Services.
In the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to Markdowns for Miles at AutoZone.
Got any markdowns on brakes?
We mark Duralast brake pads down to free.
Free Duralast brake pads?
When you buy 2 rotors.
Can I get Duralast Gold pads for free?
With 2 Duralast Gold rotors, and there's a lifetime warranty on brake pads.
That's a huge markdown for so many miles.
Save on brakes and more during Markdowns for Miles at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Earn an accredited MBA in as few as 16 months for about $21K at University of Maryland Global Campus. Explore 10 specializations, including finance, HR, cyber technology, and more. Plus, showcase the value of your MBA with a comprehensive learner record and digitally demonstrate in-demand skills and credentials to employers. No application fee if you apply by June 1st. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by SCHEV.
Inside Sources.
As a parent of a younger child right now and young adults, I have to tell you that I do worry about their mental health, especially as they get older and they're trying to navigate all of the things, right? So it's harder and harder, I think, for young people to have really strong mental health.
Apparently, there are a lot of mental health professionals who have shared similar concerns, especially with the rise of technology, social media, artificial intelligence, things that are taking kids away from their normal social interactions.
And May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and so we're going to go in depth on young adult mental health.
And so we have with us this morning Dr. Deepak Rajput, MD, psychiatrist and chief medical officer, Community and State United Healthcare in Nevada. Dr. Rajput, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me, Greg and Holly. I appreciate it.
And what could you tell us about the state of the art right now as it relates to young adults and the challenges that they're facing?
We are finding that 6 out of 10 young adults between the ages of 18 through 28 are struggling with mental health issues, specifically depression, anxiety, and ADHD. We do find that there is a difference between those enrolled in college and those not enrolled in college, really related to the fact that sometimes being in college, it's the first time away, you're from home, you've got finals, you've got general things that go on, and that mental health has become a focal point for them and something that they're easy to talk to each other about. That's something that we are finding.
So I'm wondering, I mean, you just mentioned that there's a difference between college students and those maybe who just go straight to the workforce. Is it is it because those going to the workforce don't leave home? Like, where do you see that kind of difference? Because I hadn't heard that statistic before.
Yeah, we do find a difference. It's something like 7 out of 10 in college are struggling with mental health, and 5 out of 10 are not. You brought up a good point. I think it is a lot of times the first time they're away from home. I think that there's also stressors associated with it. But the most important thing, whether you're in college or not in college, is that you're able to talk to someone and be able to go out and seek professional help. We do find that 1 in 4 of the individuals between 18 to 28 that are struggling with mental health issues are relying on some sort of an AI platform, whether it be to obtain information or to look for resources. I think that's great, but that's not a substitute for in-person, one-on-one care that might be needed.
Doctor, are some of these mental health conditions exacerbated by the use of technology? That is to say, people who are sort of caught up with their cell phones or their emails or their text messages and not interacting in the way that we all had to when I was in college?
It's certainly playing a role. And I think it's important, young or old, to understand that we do need to disconnect from these devices once in a while. They do have added stress. A lot of social media platforms will sometimes lead to the online bullying that I'm sure a lot of you have read about or at least heard about. So I think it's healthy to disconnect from that and once take breaks from those text messages and those social media platforms.
So I want to ask you if young people, meaning these young adults, are they aware that they're struggling and are they looking for help, or is it kind of sneaking up on them?
Well, this was based on a survey conducted by United Healthcare along with another organization, YouGov, that was self-identification of mental health needs. So in this study, these are young adults that are identifying themselves as having a mental health issue. I think what was interesting through this study was that even though the college student may identify and even self-identify as being struggling with mental illness, oftentimes the parents of these college students were not acknowledging that. And I think an important takeaway we had from that was it's important for the parents of these young adults to have conversations, high quality conversations around that. Make sure that that child feels heard, make sure that it's an open, safe environment, that they can have candid discussions and look for in-person resources or any sort of resource that will be helpful beyond the AI modalities.
Yeah. Are these like high school and college kids sort of at a vulnerable age for mental health conditions, or are they just experiencing things that make them more vulnerable?
I'd say it's a mix of both. You've got a lot of times, like stated earlier, the first time out of the house, you are vulnerable because you don't have the resources that you might have had if you left the house in terms of having your family around. You don't have some of the same friends. A lot of times things change as you are between the ages of 18 and 28. So it really is about looking for resources and being able to identify them.
So I
vulnerability changes.
Yeah, sorry. I wanted to ask a follow-up just on from the parent perspective. So I have some young adults who live at home, but I also have young adults who don't live at home, and I'm probably less aware with the ones who don't live at home. What do you recommend for a parent like me with my young adult who doesn't live at home? How can I have regular conversations that don't seem like really weird?
I think having visitation with them, whether it be go out and see them. If they live far away, I understand that's not really reasonable, but having phone calls around that, having discussions around mental illness in general might be a good way to open the discussion into your child's mental illness. Talking about different things that they enjoy doing, things that have been able to relieve stress, might open up those doors to have them feel more comfortable and discuss the mental illness that could potentially be there.
Are young adult suicide rates up, or are we just hearing more or sort of learning more about it, or maybe some combination of both?
I think it's a combination of both. I think there's definitely more education around mental health now than there was when, let's say, I'm 46, certainly when I was younger, that there is more discussions around it. I think there is some statistics that show, unfortunately, it is up slightly. So there's definitely more stressors out there as well that could be causing this.
So I know that May is just a month to focus on it, but I don't think we can ignore it for 11 months of the year. So what do you recommend for this to be like an ongoing effort to both raise awareness and to help young adults feel like they can reach out in the appropriate ways?
Absolutely. I think that it's important to note that there's a number of resources out there, whether they be with your payer, whether they're in your community. Specifically here at United Healthcare, we do have around-the-clock peer supports along with 24/7 lines. We have a large network of providers that we would be happy to take phone calls into from case management and other resources. So I think for the other 11 months of the year, it's important for us to acknowledge that mental health does exist and that we do have resources, whether they be telephonic, just to be able to get in touch with someone, or reaching out to even your PCP or which is your primary care provider, and just asking for resources around that, whether it's therapy, whether it's med management. It is available, and oftentimes your first resource is your friends, family, and your primary care provider.
Are you able to collaborate with colleges? I mean, is there any level of partnership where United Healthcare or other groups can say, hey, we want to work with colleges, we want to be part of what you're doing, and vice versa?
Yeah, we do have very specific products that we sell to college students and work with employers around that. We also do have regular events with colleges around the communities that we work in, and having therapists and case managers available at those sites is something that we've been doing at least for the past couple of years in our market, and we want to be able to outreach more of those college campuses if at all possible, and we do the liaison work.
All right. Thank you so much. That was Dr. Deepat Rajput, psychiatrist and chief medical officer of Community and State United Healthcare of Nevada.
When a young person goes out of the house and they're living on a college campus, they don't have mom and dad. They don't have that support system. And sometimes it's awkward to reach out to your friends or somebody at the college. I've seen that myself. And just with family members who, when they're struggling with depression or something and they can go talk to mom, that's one thing. But when you're at a college, you can't talk to your roommate because sometimes they don't understand. And sometimes you don't want to expose yourself that way.
And I'll just remind listeners, in Utah, students, including college students, can use the Safe UT app. So can parents and so can teachers. And also nationally, we have 988, right? The hotline that is staffed 24/7, 365.
Well, when we come up back next, this is probably no surprise after we announced President Trump's anti-weaponization fund, but claims are pouring in for the $1.7 billion fund, and some people who were involved in the attack on the U.S. Capitol say they deserve something between $2 and $5 million for their trauma that they had to suffer. We'll talk about that when we come back.
It's 11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Cameron Elliott. KSL's top national story this hour from ABC News. Some Republicans are pushing back on President Trump's nearly $2 billion fund to reimburse approved claims for anyone who believes they were wronged by the Biden administration. Inside the Oval Office today, the president was asked about losing members of his own in the Senate who are not in favor of the fund. Here's that exchange.
Are you losing control of the Senate Republicans?
I don't know. I really don't know. I can tell you, I only do what's right.
ABC was told convicted insurrectionists are welcome to apply. Other national stories KSL is following: a new weight loss drug, retatrutide, is being touted for its ability to increase the amount lost. It's not available yet, but as ABC chief medical correspondent Dr. Tara Narula tells us, it is showing great promise.
It's being studied for a lot of different indications, not just obesity and diabetes, but also cardiovascular disease, renal disease, liver disease, osteoarthritis, lower back pain. Still experimental, still undergoing trials. They expect that they will put it in front of the FDA for approval in 2027 or 2028. But important to note, if you do see this drug being advertised now, it is not the real drug.
In local news, U.S. Army leaders say a data center here in Utah is just one example of how they need to be more innovative. Army leaders brought up an unnamed Utah data center when they were questioned about their lofty budget request for the upcoming year in Washington, D.C. yesterday. They say that data center is an example of how they need to better use the land and resources they own. Taking a look at your money at this moment, it is now green across the board. The Dow Jones is up 162 points. That's 0.32%. The S&P 500 is up 10 points. That's a fraction of a percent. And the Nasdaq is up 36 points. That is 0.14%. Coming up, the stormy weather won't last for long. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Doug Wright, and I'm here with Monty from Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized Connecticut independent dealer. Now, Monty, don't all of the other water softeners require us to basically trust our home's water to electronics? If a power surge happens, a fried circuit board, or the power just goes out suddenly, aren't you back to scrubbing hard water scale and dry skin?
Yes, we believe the best technology is simple. That's why Connecticut's premium systems are non-electric. While other softeners rely on finicky computers and electronics, Connecticut runs on the kinetic energy of moving water. Nothing to plug in, no buttons to push, and zero electricity.
I've had a Connecticut soft water system in my home for many years, and I've never had to do anything to it except occasionally add a little salt. And I love that it never requires me to set or program anything. Dee loves that she always has the soft water. So do what I did and go to softwaterutah.com to learn how your family can enjoy the benefits of soft water without the hassles of traditional water softeners. That's softwaterutah.com.
May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and you can make a difference today by supporting Huntsman Mental Health Foundation with a monthly gift. Donations to Huntsman Mental Health Foundation helped open Utah's only 24/7 mental health crisis care center in South Salt Lake. When you give monthly, you expand access to mental health treatments, fund life-saving research, and help improve mental health for everyone. And a gift of $19 or more per month gets you an exclusive Your Brain is Beautiful shirt showing your commitment to mental health. Get started today at yourbrainisbeautiful.org. That's yourbrainisbeautiful.org. Join Huntsman Mental Health Foundation and be part of transforming the way the world treats, understands, and improves mental health. Again, visit yourbrainisbeautiful.org to get started today for Mental Health Awareness Month in May. yourbrainisbeautiful.org.
If the world were like a Sleep Number mattress, everything would adapt for your comfort. Because as your life changes and your body changes, Sleep Number mattresses adapt and shift to give you personalized comfort night after night. And now everything's on sale during our Memorial Day event. Save up to $1,200 on mattresses, plus free delivery when you add a base. Ends Monday. To experience a whole new world of comfort, visit a Sleep Number store or go to sleepnumber.com. Sleep Number. To a good life sleep.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-771-1300. That's 800-771-1300.
We got emergency traffic here on KSL News Radio, brought to you by UCCU. Receive 4% cash back on cruises at UCCU.com. Here's Ricky Meese.
The freeway is now officially closed due to a multiple vehicle crash, including a rolled RV. This is closed southbound I-15 in Weber County at 24th Street in Ogden. You can expect major delays. Right now, you want to stay off that stretch. You'll see backups into Far West. Take an alternate route like Highway 89. Emergency traffic in Salt Lake County. This is due to a crash and vehicle fire southbound I-15 approaching 90th South. Right lanes are blocked. It's causing stop-and-go delays back to the South Interchange in Murray. Then emergency traffic once again on southbound I-15, this time in Utah County, where UHP has been doing a freeway slowdown for pothole repair work. And that pavement is ahead of Springville, but it is backing traffic southbound I-15 all the way from Provo at the very bottom end towards Orem. No matter where life takes you, Cypress Credit Union has the tools to help you plan your financial future. Start today at cypresscu.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Today's high is going to be about 68 with a 30% chance of rain before it starts to warm back up this week. Highs break into the 80s on Saturday, and they're going to climb as high as 87 on Monday. Right now, though, it's 66 degrees and mostly cloudy downtown. I'm Cameron Elliott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, they say they're not being greedy, but you have to decide. Some former Proud Boys members, including their leader, who was sentenced to 22 years for seditious conspiracy relating to the January 6, 2021 attack on the U.S. Capitol, said he deserves $2 to $5 million from the new anti-weaponization fund. What do you think about that?
I think, heck no. Like, what are we thinking here? Come on.
I have to say, this one is getting this is. I don't know. This is really troubling, and I think it's even troubling to some people.
You sound like an attorney. This is very troubling.
Who are like completely on Trump's side. Even some Republicans are going, wait a minute, this makes no sense at all. And then, the president is fashioning it as people who were prosecuted by Biden, of course. But the January 6th insurrectionists, I mean, they deserve money. I think the American public, at some point, Holly, some things that are happening become so ridiculous that you would almost expect members of the public to go, time out.
I think there's a lot of members of the public who've been saying, what are you thinking? So you also have, you already said this, Republican members of both House and Senate who are saying, I'm not comfortable with that. And some of them are saying, absolutely not. Like, we're not okay with this at all. One of the things that's interesting, so you remember the MyPillow guy?
Right.
Well, he thinks he deserves $400 million because he said his business lost a lot of money after he was so big on election conspiracies.
Yeah, and how you tie that to
well, he said it was Biden who weaponized the DOJ against him, and all he was doing was standing up for, I don't know, truth and light. I don't know.
So it would be one thing if we said, okay, people who feel like they were hurt should apply to get some benefit. But it's another thing to set aside $1.8 billion and say, this is for victims, come and get it. Because that almost seems like they have to spend it. And that's what's really troubling to me about it is
Congress didn't make the appropriation.
Yeah, and somebody's got to put a stop to this. But I don't know who will. The Supreme Court? Give me a break.
I don't
Congress?
know. I think Congress could maybe, I don't know even how that would work because it didn't go through Congress, right? And you say 1.8 and that's rounding up because it's clever, 1776. Right? But you have this fund where, like yesterday, Michael Caputo filed the first claim, $2.7 million for his family, he said, who are survivors of the Russiagate investigation. So it's all of these requests, anybody's welcome to apply. I think the fund goes dry right before the president's term runs out. I'm sure there's no coincidence there. But this fund will be approved. These requests will be approved by a 5-member committee. 4 of them will be selected by Todd Blanche.
Yeah, the current acting United States attorney.
And 1 will be appointed from Congress.
You have to ask yourself, what are they thinking? And maybe we don't care. Maybe in America we just don't care anymore. But what are they thinking in Europe? what are they talking about there in Japan when they say, hey, guess what they're doing in America right now? I mean,
well, I can tell you they mock us now.
Right, that's what I'm thinking. I mean,
we've lost so much standing.
Let's take an objective view of some of these things that are happening right now, especially this. And you can look at it from the flip side too. What was the quid pro quo? That Trump would drop a lawsuit, and that if we're hearing this right, it's troubling that neither he nor his family nor any of his entities will ever be audited by the IRS.
That they are forever precluded from conducting an audit, which we talked about and said, can they even do that? We don't think so.
No, they can't.
And the next administration is going to say, yeah, no, like that's not a thing.
You can't give somebody carte blanche to do whatever they want with the IRS. And somebody yesterday said, well, didn't Biden do this to Hunter Biden? The answer is no. He gave him a pardon for acts which had occurred to that point.
Right.
Not for acts which he hadn't done yet. You can't pardon somebody for an act
you're pardoned, like, I'm going to pardon you, and then you can go out and commit murder. Well, you've just pardoned. You're pardoned. I don't know what to tell you.
You don't have to pay taxes the rest of your life, and they can't do anything about it.
One of the things about this fund, and we mentioned this yesterday, is there are a couple of the Capitol Police officers who were injured during the January 6th insurrection, and they are suing to stop this fund from even being able to pay out a single claim, right? And I think that's appropriate, right? They were legitimately injured, and I think that they definitely have standing, a word I learned from you.
That was the word I was going to mention, by the way. What standing do they have? Because somebody has to challenge this, and somebody will. And so is that a group that has standing? Well, they were victims by any definition of these people. They were victims of their conduct. In fact, I think there was an officer that was killed during that insurrection. I mean, talk about a victim. You would think that a victim of a crime, let's face it, they were crimes because some of them were convicted or pled guilty, notwithstanding that they've now been pardoned.
Right.
That they would have a right to say, hey, why should the person who victimized me get
now
money?
Make money from it?
Right, yeah.
It is wild. Guess who else is thinking of applying?
Who?
George Santos. He resigned in disgrace, but he is thinking of applying, and he had a sentence, if you remember, for wire fraud and identity theft. Well, Trump commuted that sentence for him in October, but he wants to apply as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, somebody's got to put a stop to this. This is lunacy at its worst. And I don't know. I mean, I can see that there could be some idea that the victimization of the Biden administration, but
you just have to stop. You just no. There's no justifying this in my mind, right? There's no justifying this. And when you're talking about somebody, the Proud Boys leader, who was found guilty and sentenced to sedition is really serious.
Yeah, it is.
Like, this is a serious crime. He was convicted, but then it was all wiped away. And now he thinks he should get $5 million.
It's crazy. I don't know. It's sad that we're talking about this. It's sad that this is the topic of the week, and it is on every station. It's with even the Republicans are going, wait a minute.
I will say this. So do you remember the QAnon shaman? And there were pictures of him, and he had like this, I don't know, fur vest and fur hat. His actual name is Jacob Chansley. He said he would not take a dime from that and described that fund as blood money. So good for Jacob.
Good for him.
Good for him. All right, when we come back, look, do you have deer problems on your property? You might actually.
Every day.
You might want to let your hair down. Literally, you might want to put your hair on the ground, or Rebecca's. We'll explain next.
Emergency traffic on KSL News Radio, brought to you by UCCU. You deserve to love where you bank. If you're in Weber County, we have a freeway closure. This is southbound I-15 closed due to a multiple vehicle crash, including a rolled camper at 24th Street. They're diverting all traffic off at the exit ramp at 24th Street. But right now, we have huge delays, and traffic is literally not moving. It's a parking lot all the way back to Far West. You want to delay your travel time and leave later, or take an alternate route such as Highway 89. In Salt Lake County, southbound I-15, a vehicle fire at 90th South Sandy still blocking right lanes. It's causing heavy delays back 22. The South Interchange in Murray and in Utah County, we're seeing improvements on the southbound side of I-15 through Provo and Springville. Not clear yet, but now it's northbound I-15. Paving crews are out taking a look at the freeway. UHP doing a freeway slowdown northbound I-15 in Provo, backing traffic into Springville. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370. 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
You trust us for news and information in your car. Now trust us at home. KSL News Radio has you covered, keeping you informed on the latest breaking news, weather, traffic, sports, and more. Listen on your Amazon Echo or Google Home device. Just say, Alexa, open KSL News Radio, or listen on the KSL News Radio Listen app. Text the word app to 57500. KSL News Radio. We have you covered.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Utah's colleges and universities are strengthening workforce alignment and delivering real value for students and employers. Jeffrey Landward, Commissioner of Higher Education, joins us to discuss how these efforts are driving earnings, opportunity, and long-term impact across the state.
Utah's public colleges are investing in partnerships with business and industry to better prepare students for today's workforce. Together, we're aligning degrees and certificates with the most in-demand skills, making sure programs stay relevant, responsive, and driven by results. Through Talent Ready Utah, our system is connecting high school students to apprenticeships where they can earn and learn on the job. And recently, Mountain Land Technical College launched Utah's first civil construction program in partnership with Clyde Companies, preparing students in just 4 months for infrastructure careers. These are just 2 examples of how hands-on experiences are helping Utah students gain practical skills and enter the workforce faster, leading to higher wages, stronger communities, and continued innovation across industries. The Utah system of higher education is focused on delivering a strong return on investment for students and the state, building a system that's aligned, accountable, and focused on opportunity for every student. Learn more at uc.edu.
Opportunity starts with education. Across Utah, public colleges and universities are preparing students for in-demand careers while strengthening our economy, supporting local industries, and building stronger communities statewide. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
Any Hour Services can help unclog any drain in your house, whether you have a backup, a clog, or a slow drain you want fixed. Call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
911, tell me exactly what happened.
My son and his wife and their 2 children haven't responded.
Susan Powell disappeared on a snowy morning in 2009.
Your wife is missing, Josh.
Yeah, but
And you want to think about it for a couple of days?
The podcast, Cold, has gone deep on these kinds of stories.
I'd had this overwhelming feeling that he had done something to her already.
Clearly, something happened on that couch because he cleaned it.
Find and follow Cold wherever you get your podcasts.
And expanded Inside Sources.
This is one I had never heard before, but our producer decided we needed to torture ourselves with that.
Okay, so look, if deer are eating your newly planted plants, you might want to throw some chopped hair on the ground. What?
Yeah, this is really interesting, but salons in Europe are sweeping up the hair that they cut and that falls on the floor, turning it into sheets, and then wrapping new saplings in it. And it turns out the deer will not eat that. So you can protect your saplings by just wrapping hair around it.
Yeah, so I, as a longtime garden aficionado, I love to garden, right? And it's one of the things that I heard about a long time ago, that you can use hair clippings. One of the things that's interesting about this is they're actually taking the clippings and then they're chopping them up and turning them into a mat, which actually seems like a little less, maybe gross. Like it just seems like it turns it into a mat that you can wrap around these saplings, but it's environmentally friendly. It's a great way to keep the deer from eating your little baby plants. I haven't had as much trouble in my garden with deer eating my stuff as once we started to have a lot of houses built around us. But we used to have them come and just like snack all the time.
Oh yeah, we have them up in the Ogden Valley all the time. You know what is the bigger menace to our yard? The wild turkeys.
Are you
they're
serious?
Everywhere. Oh,
Oh,
they
my
are
gosh.
everywhere up there, and they I don't know what you can do about those. We tried this thing to keep the deer out of our yard, and it was I'll just say fox urine, and did
it work?
Well, it was disgusting.
Oh.
I mean, it bothered me, and then of course, as soon as it rains, it all goes away. So, no, this is not a
interesting.
good thing to use.
You know, this is not a deer thing, but when we were in our current house, but it wasn't built up, we actually had a fox come in our backyard and into our chicken coop. And we had one rooster at the time and a bunch of hens, and the rooster is just making this loud noise. And so we look out there, and there's this fox, and the fox is just killing these chickens one after the other. And the rooster's on top of the chicken coop, not in danger's way,
right,
but making a loud racket. So I went running out there chasing the fox. So
calling out the alarm, yeah.
Anyway, so hair can be used with your plants, and in Europe, like I said, they're turning it into actual sheets. Okay, so fun facts of the day.
There you go.
I have forgot what today is.
May 21st.
No, it is May 21st. So look, on today, there's actually some fun things that have happened on this day. So one of the things that happened, and this is some fun, some not fun. So on this day in 1881, the American Red Cross was founded. And do you know who it was founded by?
I don't.
Clara Barton. So like the nursing figure, right? The American Red Cross.
Okay.
So in 1932, and we just talked about this yesterday, Amelia Earhart became the first woman to complete a solo transatlantic flight. So yesterday is the day she left. Today is the day she finished. In 1932, she flew 2,026 miles from Newfoundland to Ireland in just under 15 hours. So pretty fast, actually.
I have to say something about the American Red Cross. When I first became a medic with the ski patrol, all of our training was through the American Red Cross, and it was really good. It was like an EMT style course, but I thought they did a great job. We now go through the National Ski Patrol, but I thought the American Red Cross program was wonderful.
Yeah, it also this one is not good news, and it really, because I have had kids with disabilities and things. There was a Nazi special unit in 1940 that went into hospitals in East Prussia and killed over 1,500 people that they thought were unfit. They just killed them. They just went in, killing squads into the hospitals where people were staying. They had mental disabilities, physical disabilities, and they just went and killed them.
It was enough that they were patients in a psychiatric ward that they deserved to die, apparently. That was awful.
Yes, awful. But they also killed people with physical disabilities, right? It was just horrible stuff. Okay, in 1946, there was a physicist. His name was Louis Slotin. He was preparing a plutonium core experiment at Los Alamos. He was exposed to a lethal dose of radiation and died 9 days later. And it was that accident that stopped all hands-on nuclear assembly work at Los Alamos.
Yeah, I've often wondered about what radiation causes. I mean, I know people that work in the medical community, like my son, and when they're doing X-rays and stuff, which he does constantly, even though he's a orthopedic surgeon. I mean, he always wears something. He always puts something on.
Well, we've learned a lot for sure, but this was really quick. So we know that,
9 days.
For example, 9 days with plutonium. So we know Marie Curie, for example, and her husband, they both died of radiation sickness. We know about the radium girls who were licking paintbrushes that had radiation on them, right? Just horrible. Their faces literally dissolved. But anyway, I guess it's not surprising. I was going to say surprising. It's not surprising that it takes a tragedy for people to say, oh, maybe we shouldn't do that, because that does seem to happen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it was on this day in 1947 that a woman named Linda Jane Lobenstein was born. So it was about 35 years later. She was a physician, And she was one of the first doctors in the United States to recognize the AIDS epidemic in the early 1980s.
Yeah. And that the rest is history. You know, we don't talk about AIDS as much because apparently
Not
there are
here.
some things in place now that are keeping people alive longer. I don't know that they've what you call a cure, but they certainly have
I know a lot about this, actually.
Good, okay.
So in the United States, HIV/AIDS, so HIV is actually the immunovirus, right? The AIDS is the disease process that happens down the road. In the United States, we have the medication to make it. It's a chronic condition, but it's not a fatal condition. But around the world, AIDS is still killing a lot of people. It's one of the things that USAID was really instrumental in is distributing this medication, right, to prevent AIDS from occurring once you have the HIV infection, and very, very effective in preventing pregnant mother to baby transmission, those kinds of things. So to be able to identify it, we do have treatments for it in the United States, but elsewhere in the world, it is still very, very deadly.
People who contract the HIV virus can take the medication and not
that is
get
correct.
the AIDS.
Yep, that is absolutely correct. Yep, that's correct. Yep. And then one final thing, it was on this day in 2005 that First Lady Laura Bush advocated for women's rights at the World Economic Forum, and it was held in the Middle East, and she was saying, look, so this is 21 years ago, I don't think it got better, but she was saying women over here in this part of the country, they need to be free, they need to be able to vote, they need to be able to go to school. Well, that hasn't gone so well.
Yeah. Well, interesting. Well, I know you're expecting me to talk about the weaponization fund in my closing remarks, but I'm not going to.
I didn't say that.
I'm not going to take the bait. I'm not going to talk about our 5 national parks and the fact that we've got a holiday coming up. Maybe I'll talk about that tomorrow. I want to talk about something we spoke with earlier, and we spoke with Ronell Hugh, president of the Genesis Group, and he said something, Holly, that is bothered me ever since then. We talked about racism and religion and where we are right now, and I think the words he said was, it seems to be getting worse. I mean, how are we in that place right now in 2026? And I would say that there's a lot going on nationally right now that where racism is, I don't know that there's any sort of particular group that seems to be promoting it, but there seems like there's more and more groups that seem to forgive it, that seem to not be as concerned about it. And you wouldn't have expected someone to yell out the N-word, 10 years ago, like maybe it seems to be as prevalent today. And for a man of his prestige and his education, and he's at a park where he coaches soccer, probably coaches 90% of his kids are white. And he gets called that. It's troubling to me. We had a situation involving some University of Utah basketball players up in northern Idaho, and they're walking from an NCAA tournament game, and of course a lot of them are African American, and they get called out. And I'm like, what? Who does that today? I mean, and I know this is a complaint without a solution, but it's just troubling that today we tend to forgive that, or at least we tend to allow it to occur in a way that we haven't in the past. And I hope that's not a direction that we're going in this country. And I hope that we're really more cognizant of the fact that, we're not there anymore. We don't have Jim Crow laws. We don't have segregation. We've come so far, and we can't start taking steps back. So anyway, that just troubled me to hear him say it's getting worse. Those were the words that are going to haunt me for the rest of the day.
Thank you for your closing arguments. I agree with you. A state of emergency was just issued today by Governor Cox over the worsening drought. Utah's Water Watch special coverage up next on Utah's Noon News.
KSL FM Midvale.